Everyone at Odyssey. We are here for the playoffs of Season 1 2024. And to kick us off, we are going to start with the league's #1 team in Sky Splitters, who is going to take on Orange OnlyFans. And Sky Splitters chose Orange OnlyFans as their opponent as well, just as a little bit of information to give everyone watching before we get into the very first draft. My name is Ferris. I missed the last week. I'm happy to be back, joined by Claire. How are you doing on this fine evening, Claire? Are you ready to see some of our first playoff games?
I am ready to get into this, and I mean, this is on a brand new patch, perfect in time for playoffs. And I mean, I just don't really know what to expect, right? There's a lot of new changes, a lot of new items. Some items are gone, some items are reworked. So many different things going on, and I'm intrigued to see how it impacts the draft as we get into this.
Yes, definitely a massive shakeup with the Split 2 rolling in for Season 14. The primary changes were in items, like you mentioned. Not a whole lot else. There were a few summoner spell tweaks, but they are kind of negligible in the grand scheme of things. Not completely negligible, but when it comes to what the entire scope of the patch was, it was really focused around those items. Primarily, a lot of things changed with marksman items. Get a lot more crit from the majority of the crit items. Some items are not crit items anymore, like Bloodthirster and QSS, Mercurial Scimitar, for more specifics there. And yeah, there was an addition of a Blackfire Torch item that's been taking over AP Jungle. A few people have been building that. So look out for those items in these games, depending on what these teams play. And as we see those items reveal themselves in these games, we can talk more about what they are and what's changed and what's new and what it might look like for the game and what the stakes are there.
Yeah, but let's just hop into this draft, see what we got going on here. As we were talking about, Sky Splitters are the first seed, and picking Orange OnlyFans on their first match, but the bans to come through mainly focusing on top lane, and I guess flex with the jungle for that volley bear. We saw Blitzcrank terrorizing MSI finals last night, so might as well get that out of here.
Yeah, and the MSI finals on an off topic, won't go too deep into that, but it was an absolute banger. Yeah, and we did see Lahen's Blitzcrank was pretty crazy in that series, and we're rounding off the bans now. Jinx taken off the board. It looks like Ari is going to be the final ban for Sky Splitters. They're still hovering it, and they lock it in. So we will get into the ban or the picks here. What is Orange OnlyFans going to pick to start this one off? They're hovering the Senna. So you would think that this will be paired with a bot laner like an Ornn, maybe a Tahm Kench. Farming Senna, not too good after changes that happened in previous patches, so maybe this will be a fasting Senna. And on the other side, Sky Splitter is going to take the Galio blind, likely going to go into the mid lane. They're hovering the Misfortune as well, so this could be a Misfortune Wombo combo draft that they're thinking about doing, and the Misfortune is going to be locked in. So I actually like the Galio there too, because if you get lots of people knocked up, then you can combine that with bullet time and deal massive damage in the team fight. So this looks like it's going to be a Misfortune setup, team fight oriented draft so far from Sky Splitters.
And I'm curious to see if that Tristana is going mid or just as a Senna support, which could make some sense. We aren't used to seeing that. We're used to seeing mainly Senna playing with an engage support, or an engage, I guess, farming character just in the bot lane, whichever you would like to call that, which Tristana is not one of those characters. But I mean, to go against this Galio Misfortune, it could definitely work.
We do see a Hui hover. So I said the Galio could go into the mid lane. And remember, a lot of people in Odyssey's chat, when we added the addition of the Twitch chat to the left corner of our screen, there was a lot of hatred towards Hui support. And this could be something that Sky Splitters are playing. The infamous Hui support that people don't like could be played in this game. So it could be a Hui mid, it could be a Galio support as well. We've seen that a few times. Galio was changed up a little bit a few patches ago to be more oriented towards his tankier mixed damage builds rather than the full glass cannon. So there's still a lot of different things we could see in the draft. I also like the Jarvan pick from Orange OnlyFans because in case Thrasher was looking for the Jarvan pick, which combines really nicely with Galio. You put Cataclysm down, and then in comes Galio to knock up everyone locked up in that ability. That could be some type of denial there. So I do like a jungle pick now from Orange Only fans. Is now the second ban phase has come through, and we're heading into the second round of picks.
And a Kane comes through, or isn't come through yet, but it's just being covered. And it is to be swapped out for Viego. Maybe. I mean, Viego's been good, been a staple in the jungle, and it does seem like that is going to be locked in. Just the response from Orange Only fans, that is going to be the Camille. Again, super strong. I'm just definitely going towards that top lane in a Vigar being covered and just be locked at the moment. But yeah, also very strong in the mid lane. I mean, I don't think Vigar is... He's been an off pick for a couple of mid laners in the past, but a Poppy, which could go top lane if there's anywhere where that Poppy looks like he would fit best in the Sky Splitters composition.
And Poppy fits really well into the Sky Splitters comp. They are hovering a Wukong instead. I think they should go with the Poppy here. They have enough damage. They need some more frontline. They're going to go with that. And on top of the frontline aspect, you also have Steadfast Presence, which is Poppy's ability, which blocks dashes from coming through if a dash is used within that ring around her. Two champions which are denied by this ability are Camille, are Jarvan. Three champions, actually, Tristana as well. There's 3 dash champions for Orange Only fans, and these champions can be locked up. It can prevent an escape. It can prevent an engage. Poppy is massive here, so Sky Splitters are using their counter pick very well. Might give Camille a hard time in the early game, which is typically where Camille struggles. And they also get a Vigar pick as well. So depending on the support or mid champion that they play for Sky Splitters, it could be Hwei support, it could be Galio support. If it's Galio mid, then Vigar should have a much easier time getting those stacks, farming those minions, using the cage to keep Galio at bay, and we'll have a smoother time into the late game. So there's still a little bit of mystery here with this draft, mainly from the Hwei Galio. So we'll get into game right now and see where these champions are going. It's an interesting draft to start us off for a very first game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, just getting into this, but it's actually going to be Tristana mid, and that Vigar is going to go into that support position. We see the Camille up top versus the Poppy, and yeah, it's going to be that Hwei in mid lane versus the Tristana. So needing to look out for that. I mean, we've seen this a few times, but I guess for the viewers, Hwei support is a good thing, I suppose. Makes it an easier time to watch.
And I was also completely oblivious to what could happen and what actually did happen here with Orange Only fans draft. It's Tristana mid, and they have Vigar farming with Senna support. So it's actually a Vigar bot. And that's actually pretty good, because Galio, like you said about the mid lane matchup, it works the same way with support. You can keep the Galio at bay, and Misfortune does have a harder time dealing with scaling champions, as she doesn't scale very well necessarily herself. Really, her power comes from whether she can hit a good ultimate or not. Other than that, her power in as a DPS carry isn't so great. So this is an interesting shakeup here in the draft that we're seeing right now. And it also seemed like Orange Only fans kind of took away a lot of the Galio combinations that maybe Sky Splitters were looking for. I talked about the Jarvan earlier, but Camille as well could have been a champion that Sky Splitters paired with the Galio to make some nice combos. Hextech Ultimatum with the Galio ult is very nice. So just some few more things that I'm noticing about the draft as now we're in game and we can see the full picture.
Yeah, what's most interesting is this Vigar obviously going to be farming in this bot lane, and I'm curious to see, like, we've seen Vigar ADC in the past in a couple of different patches, or Vigar support. So, I mean, just to see it back, it does make a lot of sense with the Senna. It's just not something we've seen too much recently, but it does seem that it's going to work. It's obviously going to be pretty weak in the early game, but yeah, the Sky Splitters getting that level 2 a little bit earlier, Dimuda and Jin needing to respect that, needing to back up, let that wave crash a little bit before their tower, so no harm too much at the moment, but yeah, it's just a very heavy scaling team at the moment. Top side scales a little bit less hard, but still, it's Not an early game composition here for Orange only fans, nor would we say Sky Splitters.
Yeah, and as we have the time here, as this game is just getting underway, we'll talk substitutions. So we have Hayasaka in the mid lane for Sky Splitter subbing in for Ronnie World, and there was also a change up in their positions as well. Guilty Free Soul, who's normally their mid laner, has moved down to the bot lane, so that's how that change up works there. And then for the side of Orange OnlyFans, we have Supro in the jungle, who is subbing in for TSM is Garbage. So those are the substitutions for both of these teams. They both had to make some change-ups to their roster, so no one team is at some inherent disadvantage because they've lost one of their main players. So just thought I'd point that out there as we start out the game. You have Supro substituting in for One's OnlyFans and Hayasaka for the Sky Splitters.
Needing to keep an eye out on that. But yeah, nothing has happened too much. This is playoffs, so I guess you're playing a little bit more safe, right? You don't have that cushion of, being up 2 games in comparison to other teams or being just higher in the standings. All of these games matter so much. But yeah, nothing has gone on yet. Nobody really trying to get anything. A lot of these, champs not super good at finding those early game picks. Maybe Tristana is probably one of the better to look at.
Oh,
yeah,
we're going to see going there. Mid. Hayasaka uses the fear to keep small PPB away. Supro can't quite find the knockup with the flag and drag. So Hayasaka able to avoid this gank without burning any summoner spells is really good because it reduces the threat of a regank. They have to get the flash out first before it really becomes that much dangerous. And against a champion like Jarvan, unless you can combo your flash with flag and drag and aim it properly, which is a very hard combo to do, you're really hard countered by flash. So when all these flashes are available for the side of Sky Splitters, it makes it really hard for those ganks to come through for Supro. So big evasion there from Hayasaka not having to use the flash.
Yeah, it's just fantastic to see. We see Viego hovering around mid. I think just power farming for at the moment, wanting to get to that level 6 point and get that just like those components built up before you really go for anything at the moment. We are seeing Dragon come up. Grubs are going to come up here soon, so these neutral objectives going to be taken or fought over here. But I mean, the only pressure we're seeing is just Phaser being able to keep this wave pushed in.
Oh, this could be a solo kill. Oh, never mind. I got too excited there. Phaser's actually the one who's blundered, maybe out of mana here. I almost said out of ammo. I've been watching too much Call of Duty. But Phaser is so close to dropping here, and Ajuka almost grabs the solo kill. So that was very, very close. And if we're going to talk about this top lane too, you mentioned, Claire, how Phaser has priority, but right now it's Ajuka with the CS lead. So despite the pressure being applied, it's still Ajuka coming out on top. It doesn't matter how much you're pressured, as long as you're not dying and maintaining the CS lead, especially when you win on side late game as the game progresses. The lane's going really well for Ajuka up here. And especially now that Phaser was out of mana there and had to burn the flash. And Ajuka used flash as well, but still, it relieves a little bit of the pressure that Camille's feeling in this lane.
Yeah, Camille really getting, I would say bailed out. She was doing just fine, wasn't threat, but yeah, the Jarvan's back into mid. Hayasaka, though, able to just walk that one off, not even in any threat. The ganks have been a bit underwhelming for Orange OnlyFans so far, with the pressure that the bot lane is feeling and how weak Veigar and Senna might feel early game. They are able to just get that first dragon into their favor. Gonna set themselves up for a Cloud Soul next, or a Cloud Dragon next, and yeah, we're not seeing anything too aggressive quite yet. Everyone just farming. This Misfortune having a little bit of a better time than this Veigar, but I mean, still, it's pretty even across the board. 10k gold lead is, or 10k gold has been crossed for both of these teams. And just some aggression to go through on this Tristana, but just nothing being found off the back of it. And look at that Viego though,
yeah,
wanting to.
We could see a gank here in mid lane. And remember, small people did use the jump, but pretty close to the tower, so I don't think there's much Thrasher can do in that situation. Didn't have to burn any sums. And the one thing about the Trist Hui matchup is when you jump in, you do get feared immediately by Hui when he uses that, I don't know what the combination is, E plus something, but the skill shot that fears you you have to try and dodge away from that when you jump in. So if small PP Weeb is thinking of a solo kill, you have to jump in and then immediately sidestep, because it's always going to be Hayasaka to throw out that ability and completely mitigate any type of engage or solo kill potential that you have. And so that's kind of the trouble there for Tristana when she wants to solo kill, but she's also fine with just farming in this lane as well. Tristana scales very well, gets more attack range as the game goes on, and becomes a big side lane threat. And that's not really where the Hui wants to be in this game. And that brings me to another point where Orange only fans have Camille and Tristana. So these side lanes could become a huge problem for Sky Splitters if it gets out of hand. But now we see the grubs being taken. This is Infernal Drake plus the grubs. So early neutral objective control right now for Sky Splitters. Are using the priority they have in the top lane to take the grubs, using the priority they have in the bot lane to take the dragon. So the early game dominance in their lanes is paying off for them.
And not going to stop there, wanting to get this blue buff and just stop Supbro from being able to free farm for so long. And we see Supbro, but not going to go for anything, realizing that it might be a little bit too dangerous on the blue buff, opting to go back to the wolves. And yeah, nothing really is going on. The neutral objectives, though, favoring Sky Splitters, but in some of these lanes, it's just the farming is a little bit better for Orange Only fans, primarily in this top lane. And it's keeping the gold lead at least at bay. Maybe not the objectives, but I mean, it's going to be okay for the time being.
Yeah, and they do have a fantastic late game. They have Kabil, they have Trist, they have Senna, they have Vigar. That's 4 champions that excel very much in the later portion of the game, although there is a little bit of a lack of frontline, so that might end up being a problem for them later on. We do see a gank happening in the top side, and on the cross map, we see a gank in the bot side as well, and the teleport's going to come in for small PvP. The cage is brought down. 2 flashes have to be burned for both bot laners. There is the Senna ultimate to come through, but the bullet time finds the first blood. It's going to go to Kyo, and Guilty Free Soul finds another one onto D Muda, and the top lane play was successful as well, so both of these teams finding blood for themselves, although it's 2 kills in favor of Sky Splitters, could be 3 here, as Supro does use the Flag and Drag to try to get away from Thrasher, who uses the Heartbreaker to try and finish off the kill, but there's the flash, and now Ajuka can jump in on the flank, but Thrasher right now has Conqueror procced and can win this 2 versus 1, and both Ajuka and Supro have to retreat, but they could kite this one out. There's the knockup. Thrasher has gone too far. He's overstayed his welcome. He's 1 HP. Supro just has to try and run this kill down. He goes into the mist to try and keep himself safe, but the hook shot finds the kill, and 2 for 2 across both the plays. So much action on both sides of the map, and it ends up going even for both these teams.
Very well played out of Ajuka and Supro, being able to just ping pong that Viego back and forth, keeping themselves alive and just making sure they don't get too much damage onto them, and really popping off, keeping the sides pretty even. And I would say that probably, I mean, might add advantage Orange Only fans. They might get a little bit more off of that. I don't think they got a plate, which kind of sucks, but I did think Sky Splitters got 1 on that bot tower, but I don't know if that was from a bit earlier in the match. But yeah, we should keep our eyes over towards these dragons, or this dragon that's about to come up here on the bot side. No priority really given over to anyone. If anything, it's going to be Sky Splitters to gain that one, but I mean, you never know what's going to happen in these next 20 seconds.
Yeah, and so the Cloud Drake is spawning, and right now, again, it's bot prio for Sky Splitters, so they are going to have first step into the river here. They've dropped control wards everywhere. There's 3 here. Small PP Weeb's going to find one of them. The Cloud Drake is now alive, and here comes Supro through the Tri-Brush. Could potentially look for a play to start this off. They want to try and find any advantage that they can get before this dragon fight if they want to be able to secure it. There's some tension building in the bot side. I'm looking at the bot side, although this top lane play, Ajuka is starting to really beat up on Phaser right now and does not have access to the Hextech ultimatum just yet. It's coming off a cooldown, but Phaser, you don't win this 1 versus 1. Uses the flash follow from Ajuka. The Q2 will go through, and that's the solo kill in the top side. Meanwhile, bot lane, we have the fight beginning here for the dragon. Heartbreak used from Thrasher to bypass the cage. That's an excellent play. D Muda has no flash from the previous play, trying to make a run for the blast cone. Actually gets there. The bullet time comes through. It's enough for Guilty Free Soul to finish off the kill. The dragon is likely going to reset, and it's going to be Sky Splitters to make their way back. Does Orange Only fans feel like they have enough in the tank to contest this? I don't think they do, and this should be enough for them to get the 2 dragon lead, although Supro is still hovering around here looking for a potential steal, but I don't think it's going to be possible. On the top side, though, Phaser has teleported back in and wants revenge in the 1 versus 1, but Ajuka with the tactical Tactical Sweep has enough for the slow, and Supro goes in, almost tries to find the steal. It's actually Guilty Free Soul to secure the dragon, and that's going to be the free kill for Sky Splitters off the back of Supro's attempted steal. Again, action across the maps, but it's Sky Splitters coming out ahead with the dragon. There was a solo kill on the top side, but I do think they are the victors in that play because of the dragon stacking.
Oh yeah, it's just looking really nice here for Sky Splitters finding 2 kills there, but I mean, they're trying to engage. Orange OnlyFans is looking alive more so now when they get their stacks up here in the bot lane, but not being able to find anything for the time being. But I mean, keeping themselves alive is just needing to continue to farm for a little bit until these next objectives come through. And it's seeming that they're putting a lot of pressure. We're seeing Camille go into this river. They want to secure these other grubs. They don't want those like split pushers, even though I would say Orange OnlyFans have better split pushers. But I mean, getting 6 scrubs would just be a disaster for this team. And Camille is having a much better time in the top lane at the moment than this Poppy, so it makes walking around this top side of the map a lot easier for them. I can only imagine that Phaser is really feeling that at this point in the game.
And the fact that Ajuka's winning top lane really hard and Sky Splitters still were able to grab 3 grubs for themselves while still managing to get 2 Drakes bot side is really big for them, because there's a Tristana and a Camille on Orange OnlyFans side. Those 2 champions are going to like the side lane. They're going to want to get gold for their team through turrets. And having 6 grubs would make their life a lot easier and would make that threat of the side lane for Orange OnlyFans a lot bigger for Sky Splitters. But the fact that they're able to get 3 grubs, the next 3 were taken by Orange OnlyFans, but only having 3, you don't get that Void Might buff, even after the buffs to Void Grubs where they get 4. The 4 Void Grubs gives you those Void Mites. They're still able to deny that. So nice stuff from Sky Splitters. Right now, the only thing going for Orange OnlyFans is that top lane. So Ajuka is going to have to cosplay BLG Bin as best as he possibly can to try and carry the squad right now, because it's looking really good for Sky Splitters everywhere else. However, Phaser has gotten that first tower, but may have sacrificed his life to do so. Ajuka wins this 1 versus 1. We already know this, has Hextech Ultimatum, will use it for insurance just to make sure Phaser is going absolutely nowhere, and this should just be the solo kill. There's the Tactical Sweep plus the hook shot. Almost let him get away with 1 HP, but going to get the solo kill in the end. Now we see a play in the mid lane. In comes Kyo here with the Galio ultimate, finds the stun onto Supro, who's now going to get hit with a lot of damage, but is pretty tanky for the moment. Flag and drag away from the bullet time, Ignite ticking, but I don't think the Jarvan will die in this situation, but it's still Sky Splitters who maintain priority.
Sky Splitters is so strong in the team fights right now. It's not late enough into the game where Orange OnlyFans has scaled to a scary amount, and Camille's the only super strong member for this Orange OnlyFans side. But I mean, if you want to look at their itemization, 4 members having played skill caps, but pardon me, Kyo is coming in.
On the flank now, the cage does stop him, but Jin is going to be the sacrifice, and this is an excellent rotation from Sky Splitters to find more advantages, and they're looking for more. D-Muda is the next target. Fancy Feet dodges away from the damage from the Hui, and now Supro is here to defend, but he's going to go in, actually finds the flash combination that was really clean, but unfortunately, Hayasak gets away with 1 HP. The ultimate from Vygar does not find the damage, and Guilty Free Soul will flash away from small PPE. We teleport it in. Again, Orange OnlyFans, they're so close, but not close enough. Sky Splitters remain in the lead.
Sky Splitters is looking so strong at this point into the game, and I mean, it doesn't look like that anyone can really contest them at the moment, but it's just kind of tough. Kyo is just trying to stop this tower from going down, but small PP Weave is on the Tristana, very, can take those towers extremely quickly. But yeah, I mean, just this combination of that Galio and that MF is just doing so much work into these fights, and I mean, it's as long as the Galio can stun, there's just going to be so much damage done from the remaining members of Sky Splitters that it's very difficult for Orange OnlyFans to react, because they're not playing a lot of champs that have a lot of movement abilities. I mean, Senna can get you out of there a little bit, but Vygar's kind of just stunned in one place, so it's very easy to attack this bot side.
Here comes a play onto Phaser, and that's going to be it. There you go. The ultimate will knock both of them away and completely stop anything that they wanted to have happen there, which was the kill in the top side. But now the Dragon's alive, and it is going down very quickly. They have priority here. Supro could go for a steal again, but excellent job from Keo to buffer the taunt over the wall so that if Supro did try and get in there, he would pop it, taunt the Jarvan so he could not. Actually, I'm not sure if a taunt prevents you from smiting, but it's a good play nonetheless, and they do get that soul point for themselves. So in 5 minutes time, a very early 23-minute soul could come through from Sky Splitters. Thrasher is now contesting that red buff, but here is Jhin to help out Supro. It's a 2-level lead for Thrasher, and does have the Galio ultimate here to protect him, but he's gone too far. It's still a 3 versus 2. Now a teleport coming in, making it a 4 versus 2. Thrasher running for his life. The satchel charge is live on his head, and it didn't do quite enough damage to take him down, but Keo is going to be the sacrifice here for this blunder from Sky Splitters. They went for the invade, they got too greedy, and Orange OnlyFans finally getting a win on the board.
Needed that a little bit. The snowball from Sky Splitters has been stopped, or at least put on hiatus, but Phaser has been split pushing top, getting some towers and getting some control in that lane. But, I mean, you were talking about, look at that level advantage, though.
Phaser's dead, I think. This should just be a kill here. The Hextech ultimatum is there. Phaser has flash, but there should not be any way he gets out of this one. He's way too overextended. He has nobody here to help him out. Ajuka, if he has to, can use the ultimate. The flash was used, but again, Hextech ultimatum is available. Finally, Ajuka will cave and use it. But guess what? He's bought enough time for Thrasher to get here. There's the Heartbreaker. I am mistaken, and Phaser does what I thought was the impossible and lives in that play. I'm so sorry for ever doubting you. There's a solo kill on the bot side. I think that one went the way of Dimuda, but now the fight does ensue, and off the back end of a great escape from Phaser, a triple kill for Thrasher and a Rift Herald on the menu for them. I think they can do this in time before the Baron spawns. Wow, I have just... It's like a reverse caster curse there, Claire. I think that's my first one ever. Oh no, it's not even a caster curse though, it was a caster bless, because Phaser ended up living.
Phaser got out of there, just kind of walked on out of there. I mean, if you use the Hextech, or if you just get Camille's ult, out of there a little bit earlier, I don't think it goes like that, but you just don't want to invest it, right? Because you're like, oh, we got Phaser dead. He can't really go anywhere, but the teammates show up, they bail you out of there, and you snowball into a more of a lead. You get that neutral objective into your favor, and it's just looking so strong and so into your favor, and it's kind of concerning because how can Orange OnlyFans get back into this game? Their engage into these team fights isn't great. It's kind of just up to Jarvan and Camille, which is, you know, you want your Camille to stay alive, deal some damage, and like it's very difficult for them to get to help that engage with that Jarvan. But I mean, I guess it's possible they can scale. They need to get some neutral objectives though, before, you know, time starts running out, before it gets a little bit too late. And look how back Phaser is into this game. They're both level 13 now. The items are pretty even. Ajuka having a little bit more gold, but it's looking a lot easier to deal with that side lane for Phaser now.
Yeah, Phaser does still lose 100% to the Camille, especially once those two items come through. But you, again, Claire, you're absolutely right. He has a much easier time. The more losses that Ajuka suffers there, the easier it does become, and the less pressure that Sky Splitters are going to feel in that play. So now you talked about what can Orange OnlyFans do in this situation. They have to try and find a way where Sky Splitters can't find fights to open up their turrets more, and they just have to turtle and scale and wait for Sky Splitters to make a mistake. They have to put themselves in a position where Sky Splitters feel forced to go for a play they don't want to go for because they can't find anything else. And if they can't find that, then it's going to be really tough for them, and they're just going to have to pray that Sky Splitters makes a big mistake. And this one could be the start of it. Hayasaka is a bit overextended, but there's the fear to come through, and Keo is here to save the day. Double stun there, and now the ultimate comes through. Small people be forced to flash away. The ultimate is ticking. Ajuka wants to get involved in this play, jumping right onto Thrasher. Supro going to follow that one up. Hextech ultimate comes through, but look at the damage from the bullet time. Thrasher does fall, but it ends up being a 1-for-1. Actually, I thought it was the death from Ajuka there as well, but ends up surviving in that play. The bullet time did a ton of damage. It's a 1-for-1, and it could be more turrets for them. This fight does continue. Phaser's going to find the stun onto Jin there, and Kyo flies in with the heroic entrance as well to support his team. They find themselves another kill. Can they knock down this bot lane tier 2 tower? They don't quite have a wave, so I think the play is just going to be for them to reset. They can't quite do Baron because Thrasher's dead, but we saw once again more action in the jungle there, and it still goes the way of Sky Splitters.
And this Hui is dealing so much damage. I know you mentioned it earlier, before the game even started, but the Blackfire Torch, and the Liandry. So you're just getting that double burn, and against Jarvan, against Camille, and like those people with like a higher HP, it just does so much work into those fights, because especially for White, you can kind of just throw your abilities all across the ground, and it's very difficult for them to dodge it. But I mean, just look, Hayasaka dealing so much damage, trying to get small PP Weeb out of there. They want to get this final dragon, they want to get the soul online, and just snowball the rest of the game, but I mean, they gotta fight it. Orange OnlyFans has to get in there some way. It's just, how are you managing to get into there?
Well, we're going to find out right here, right now. Guilty Free Soul a bit separated from the rest of the team, and Supro does not quite have that ultimate up just yet. They weren't able to use it. Small PP Weave now jumped in and is now in a terrible position. Thrasher's going to be able to find this kill, but we see Pandemonium breaking out in the middle of the river, and it's all Sky Splitters here. That's 3 kills now for them. This should definitely mean the Soul will go their way. Kyo finds the engage onto D Muda, who does go golden, but it only delays the inevitable. Nice fear from Hayasaka to time it right, making sure no one else from Sky Splitters could die in this situation. They get the Soul, and Claire, I think they're going to head right up north and grab the Baron as well.
I would have to agree. I mean, there's just no reason not to. Someone get that mid wave. Others, get onto that Baron, get your buff online, get that other objective, and start, finally getting through these tier 2 and next or inhibitor turrets, and open up that base. I guess Orange OnlyFans, it's not over yet. They're still alive. They're still able to win this game, but it's looking more doom and gloom after each and every one of these fights. That fight was not even close, unfortunately. So it's gonna need some heroics here. You're gonna need some heroics primarily, probably, I'm thinking, around maybe this mid lane. It's not gonna happen, but you know what? Elder buff spawns in 5 minutes. Maybe that's where it can come through.
It could be, and if you're Sky Splitters, you don't want the game to go to Elder at this point. You have Soul, you have a 10,000 gold lead. It's only 25 minutes in the game. You have Baron as well. You want to end this game before there is a sparkle of hope in Orange OnlyFans' eyes for an Elder play. And that's really where leads like this become dangerous. When neutral objectives are up, as the team that's behind, you have to make the decision, can we give, or do we have to contest when we're so far behind in gold? In that situation, Orange OnlyFans, they made the decisions. They felt like if they gave away the Soul, it would be a really bad thing, like they would auto-lose the game. Unfortunately, they lost the fight, and it means they lose Baron and they lose the Soul as well. So yeah, I think you're right, Claire. I think the only thing for them right now are the two things. Either they get Elder. Oh, wow. Supro really dodged a bullet there with that flag and drag. That was so close. Kyo was charging up the taunt in the brush, but they can either get a miracle steal at Elder Drake, but even then, Sky Splitter should never coin flip it. It might not even go the way of Elder Drake, depending on how this goes. Or Sky Splitters makes a really questionable play and throw away their lead, but it doesn't look like those two things are going to happen just yet. D Muda is trying to keep people locked up in the cage, and Phaser goes in and finds the stun. They're going to try and knock down this tier 2, and Supro is just dead. There comes the Heartbreaker from Thrasher, and that's going to seal the deal for the Jarvan. D Muda is next on the list here for Sky Splitters, and they have found him. There's the bullet time, going to chunk Jin to about 70% HP. Phaser is able to deal a little bit more damage, and that's going to be it. Ajuka is the only one left alive. He's at his tier 2, or at the enemy tier 2, looking back down at his base where all his teammates are dead. His base is being flooded, and Sky Splitters are looking like they're going to end this game before the Elder, just like they planned on doing.
Yeah, this game gonna be done. It's just a pretty monstrous performance from Sky Splitters, picking their opponent correctly. Orange OnlyFan goes down, and the Nexus explodes. I mean, Sky Splitters looked pretty good there. Orange OnlyFans could never really get their composition working, so that's just not what you want to see. And I mean, top lane was fine, jungle not very fine, I would say, giving over like 5, 6, 7 objectives, not what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, it's just not their game, right? You know what? Lost in draft phase, you just go next at this point.
Just go next. And that's the only thing that Orange Only fans can do after their Nexus explodes. We do have a lot of games to get through today. We have 2 best of 3 series, so we'll keep this break very, very short. I will probably just refill my water and we'll get right back to you all with game number 2 in this series. So we'll be very, very quick. Don't go anywhere. More League of Legends, more Odyssey Esports coming your way very soon. And welcome back for game number 2. Sky Splitters, Orange Only fans. The sides have been swapped. It was initially Sky Splitters with side selection as they were the higher seed in the regular season, but Orange Only fans now, after their game 1 loss, were awarded the side selection, and they have said that they have wanted the red side. So both these teams putting very high priority on the counter pick in this series. It's something that they want. So that's what is going to happen here, and we're going to get into the draft ready to go. Claire, adaptations, what are you thinking? What might change after what we saw in game number 1?
Well, it was kind of a disaster on all fronts there. We saw Juka play pretty well in the top lane, but I think a lot of focus towards that bot lane, maybe more towards that early game, and stop the snowball of just allowing Sky Splitters to get like those early objectives around the map, especially those dragons. You know, keep the game alive for a little bit longer, keep that soul out of the hands, out of reach for a little bit longer. But yeah, that would be my guess. Mid lane was, I don't know, it looked a little bit fine. It just looked that it got a bit out of hand, but I'm not necessarily sure that was a character diff.
Yeah, no, certainly not. It was Sky Splitters outplaying their opponents. And now we'll see what the adaptations will be from these teams as we slowly get into their picks. And it's going to be a Xin Zhao prio for Sky Splitters. So Thrasher will take that into the jungle. The response will be the Viego this time that Supro is going to play. And we have a blind Vex pick. So this must just be the comfort here for small PPE, because usually you like to play the Vex as a counter into dash champions like LeBlanc, like the Ahri, these types of things, but going to be the choice for small PPE, and the response in the 2-3 on the blue side will be the Lucian Nami. It's a fine blind pick. It's a strong 2v2. Sky Splitter's bot lane did very well last game and seemed like the bot lane that was more keen in the aggression. So they are going to play this bot lane duo, and the response might just be the Caitlyn here or the Draven. That would be really spicy if we got a Draven, Claire.
I mean, that's exactly what I would want to see, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Caitlyn comes through. Not going to see Draven unless, you know, maybe we see Draven top lane. That'd be crazy, but I don't think that's going through. Bans now mainly targeting the top lane. Cassante being a band taken out of here. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to go through in these BO3s, a lot more mind games that these players could perhaps play with each other, than just both of these control mages to be banned out. And Braum to be paired with that Caitlyn in the bot lane, but what does Sky Splitters have to say? You're still looking for that. There's just no way it's a Soraka.
Don't get baited by that, Claire. There's
just no way. There's just zero chance. That's just, they're just goofing and gaffing.
Goofing and gaffing is exactly what they were doing. You're not playing Soraka with Nami already locked in unless it's back to, I don't even know what season it was when LS was coaching Cloud9 and he had Fudge playing Ivern and Soraka mid. But Galio will be the pick, and Mordekaiser is being covered now. Let's talk about the bot lane a little bit. Caitlyn Braum. So this is a bit of a lane counter pick right now. Lucian, Nami, although they are great in lane, they also aren't bad out of lane either. Lucian, if he takes first strike, does a lot of damage, although first strike was changed a little bit so that it gives you a little bit more gold up front in the early game. It used to be more of a scaling rune. Now it's more balanced as the course of the game goes through. So it's going to be a skill matchup down here. The Caitlyn and the Braum will definitely have the authority in the early lane, or at least they should, with their range and with Braum's ability to block damage. But again, Lucian, Nami, if they are able to take control of mid waves, if they're able to find some type of lead, can still find success in this game. They're running back to Galio. Renekton for Ajuka is going to be the counter pick into Phasers Mordekaiser. So they wanted the red side. They got the counter pick this time, even though Ajuka still performed very well without having counter pick and having a blind pick last time around. Renekton is going to be the choice for Phaser. We'll see if he can have more success this time against Ajuka is going to face up against Phasers Mordekaiser. We'll see if Phaser can have a little bit more success in that 1v1 this time around. And we're into game, ready to go. For Orton's Only fans, their season is on the line. They must win this game or they are going home, and Sky Splitters will advance to the grand final.
And we're just seeing everybody on Sky Splitters bring out the Galio. Might as well put it top, or jungle, or ADC. If we get a game 3, that is. I mean, just play it in every single role. And what I'm looking for is, are we going to see a level 1 in any of these games? Small PB, very confident. And it is going to be that Galio to get some early poke damage off onto small PP. Not what you want to see, but that's not too much, I guess. You can still back, reset, but it does leave a gap in your defenses into your jungle, but I don't think it's going to be abused by Sky Splitters.
And one thing I'm seeing in the draft now as I think about it some more, it was first pick Xin Zhao, and Xin Zhao excels against long-range champions who struggle to deal damage when he puts up the Crescent Guard. And there's not a lot of those champions aside from Jin's Caitlyn. So there's a Viego that can deal with the Xin Zhao. There's a Renekton that can deal with the Xin Zhao. Vex, if in melee range, can deal with Xin Zhao, and then Braum as well will be right up in Xin Zhao's face. So Thrasher might have a hard time in this game. He might not. He does duel these melee champions well, but if they want to use the Crescent Guard for defense in these fights and they want Xin Zhao to be more of a frontline unit, it's going to be harder against 4 melee champions. Or Vex isn't melee, but you know what I mean. Can get right in his face and deal damage.
Yeah. Vex is pretty lethal at all of the ranges. But I'm curious to see how confident the players are into this game. Especially for Sky Splitters, right? You just won that game. You won it pretty handily, so I would assume you're pretty confident into this game, but I'm curious to see Ajuka. We saw Ajuka have a pretty solid showing on that Camille last game, so I'm curious to see, you do get that counter pick, you do get the nice pick onto the Renekton against this Mordekaiser, which is a favored matchup. It's not like super favored, but it's still, you still should be advantageous into that matchup.
Yeah, and I see some chat some talk in the chat about some bot lane picks. Yes, Caitlyn is very strong. Oh, actually, I'm going to have to interrupt myself because Thrasher's here for a gank onto Ajuka, who is bringing Phaser very low, but the flash will buy enough space for the first blood for Phaser. So Sky Splitters are going to be the ones to come out on top once again, and they have an early advantage in the top side. But what I was going to say about Caitlyn is, yes, she's very strong. The new items benefit her very much because now the early items like Collector and Infinity Edge are more attack damage focused, and Caitlyn is a champion that can do very well with just attack damage and not a lot of attack speed, and she plays more as a champion to one-shot and to kill off of crowd control rather than a DPS carry, and she thrives in that role. So the item changes have very much benefited the Caitlyn. So we'll see if Jhin can showcase some of that power here in this game as we move forward.
It is something to look out for. I feel like Caitlyn is pretty safe into this Lucian Nami lane, but yeah, Small PvE's absolutely frying against this Galio, which is kind of to be expected. I feel like on more of a mage that can play at longer ranges and can play at the limits of Galio, you should have a pretty easy time in the mid lane. You got to watch out for any ganks of sorts, but we do see Viego posturing towards that mid lane, maybe going for a dive on this like low-ish Galio, but I don't know if we'll see that quite yet. Maybe just getting some vision control around the map.
And the Galio will lose against the Vex in the lane phase. It's just simple ranged versus melee matchup. The Galio pick is more focused towards the team fighting aspect for Sky Splitters, as Thrasher has found Supro stealing away his chickens, and he's telling them, you are not getting away with that without a fight. I am going to fight you to the death. How dare you try and take away my chickens? This is a classic jungle rage fight here, and it looks like it might actually work out for Sky Splitters on top of the fact that you get revenge, and Thrasher finds a kill onto Supro. Small PvP is hovering but has no mana. Now Keo forced to use Flash away from the trap. Jhin and D Muda for Oran's OnlyFans, though, able to get priority, but Thrasher finds the Flash, and Small PvP has a Flash of his own. The space is just enough to keep the Vex safe. Thrasher is on a tangent. You do not take those junglers' camps right in front of their face and not expect massive retaliation. That is typical jungle gameplay, and Thrasher is unleashed.
Thrasher is excelling across the rift at the moment. A part of all of the kills, I mean, it's only 2, but still looking real nice. And we see this Caitlyn, we see this Braum action go through. And you can see just how prevalent it could be, how potent it could be, especially in that laning phase. I know a lot of people are just talking about how strong she can be, how she can spike a little bit faster, and that's exactly what we're seeing. No items have been bought yet in the bot lane, so everyone is still just on their base stats with their starting items. But still, I mean, you can still see just the direction that she wants to go. And we are seeing the dragon spawn now. It did spawn a minute ago. Priority is more so in Sky Splitters. Mid lane is favoring them with the gank from Thrasher. Bot lane is pretty even from both of them, but it's still in the favor of them at the moment.
And I also want to talk about how well Phaser's doing now in the top lane, despite we talked about the counter pick there, or what Ajuka wanted to play into the Mordekaiser, which was the Renekton. That gank from Thrasher has paid dividends because now Phaser is really feeling confident in this lane. Maybe it wasn't even the gank from Thrasher that helped it out because they both ended up burning Flash. There was a kill that went the way of Phaser, but Mordekaiser is thriving in this lane. So here comes Supro. They're trying to make a play in the bot side. The Spectral Maw will miss. Keo is going to be the target. Remember, no Flash on this Nami. She should certainly die here, and I don't think they'll be able to trade anything back. They don't quite have the damage. Oran's OnlyFans will get on the board with a successful bot play. Guilty Free Soul doesn't have to burn any sums, trying to return some damage, and the trade on the top side will probably be the grubs as Thrasher's up there clearing them right now. As I think maybe Claire is working on some mic stuff, so I'll continue in
Hello?
there. Oh, Claire, are you back?
I am back, and I
Your
don't
mic
know
sounds better. You fixed it.
Oh, that is fantastic. Great to hear. Yeah, I have no idea what that was, but, you know, getting into this, we did see a kill go over for Jhin, and that really opens the map. That's the first time that's opened up this bot side river for them, I think, this entire series, and, you know, hopefully it's the start of something new.
Could be the start of something new. They get their Caitlyn a kill there in the bot side, and they get their first dragon of the game. And so it looks like the Caitlyn will be building a collector first, unless this is a serrated Dirk start into an Infinity Edge. I haven't seen that myself. Just opening up the options here of what it could be. Likely just going to be a collector rush. So Caitlyn will be building more of that one-shot build. You're not going to go for any attack speed up front, maybe later on in your build if that's what you want. So they're going to have to be careful, both Guilty Free Soul and Keo. If they do get stunned up by Braum, can combine it with a trap for massive damage. Bot lane could be the focus here for Orange OnlyFans to find a lead. The top lane looks pretty disastrous right now. The Mordekaiser's pulling ahead of the Renekton, and Renekton really does like that early game lead. So the fact that it's not going their way right now could mean that they might look towards the spot lane as their saving grace in this game, but we'll see how the game plays out as we continue. Mid lane looking even, and yeah, 2 for 1. It's a trade in neutral objectives, and we're going to wait to see where the next play develops. Now level 6 for Hayasaka, so this Galio could get involved as well.
Yeah, this Galio needing to look for some ganks at the moment, see if the ult can come in through.
Yeah. Gonna find a gank right now. So here's the tidal wave, and Hayasaka's in with the taunt. Gonna find it onto Dmuda. Jin's gonna dodge away from this one, but it's 4 versus 2. There is nobody here to save them. Did have flash, does Jin, but I don't think he thought that a flash would get him out of that situation. So that's a play for Sky Splitters. It's now 4-1 is the kill score. The response is going to be a gank onto Phaser here, but into the Death Realm goes Ajuka. Can Ajuka survive for long enough so that Supro can help him out? There's the last EQ, and that's Phaser with the solo kill. Last game it was Ajuka to dominate the top side. This time around, Phaser is on the revenge tour, and Supro will finish off the kill, but it is still a 1 for 1. It is worth in the chat for Sky Splitters.
The damage has been done, and Phaser is looking a lot stronger than Ajuka, just trying to get through, but maybe a bit too aggressive for Sky Splitters. Thrasher probably going to be wanting to take that one back. And this Vex just in the right place at the right time, but is bleeding out in mid lane a little bit. That wave has crashed into that tower, so wanting to get back into there, get that cannon, stop Hayasaka from free farming that tower, stop any place from being gathered. And I do think that this is a lot more of a playable position for Orange OnlyFans than we've seen them before. We saw them in the last game. It was always pretty rough.
Oh my goodness.
But Keo getting a pretty creative here.
And they're both likely going to die now that Phaser has made the teleport play, unless the concussive blows can come through. Remember, Jin still has flash, but Guilty Free Soul dashes forward, trying to find that last little bit of damage, and an excellent exhaust from Guilty Free Soul as well. Living with such little HP means that exhaust, depending on what was used. Dmuda, oh my goodness, my friend, you are getting very greedy for this kill. Does drop the ignite. Guilty Free Soul could die to the summoner spell, but it is Dmuda that's going to trade his life. Oh my goodness, the ignite does not finish off the kill, and Dmuda has used both for virtually nothing. Might end up dying here. Phaser does not have flash. I don't think he quite has the range for his decimating splash. What? That hits? Oh my gosh, I thought that was going to be a dodge there. It didn't look like that Q was going to hit, but Phaser finds the kill. Dmuda feels so sad now that he used flash and ignite to try and find the kill onto Guilty and didn't quite get it.
And yeah, I was talking about how it's a little bit more playable, but this position is not really what you're looking for. Supro just still trying to farm around the map. The grubs have come up, or those second group of them, and this dragon comes up in a minute. Small PP Weep and Hayasaka just trading blows in the mid lane. Nothing gonna be found out of that. I guess at this point in the game, Hayasaka, if you do land your whole combo, you're dealing a little bit more damage to the Vex, but I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. But yeah, gonna get this second round of grubs in your favor for Orange OnlyFans. Gonna allow this split pushing a little bit better, favor that Renekton a little bit, but yeah, just the
Phaser wants to get involved in the play, and in comes Hayasaka with the heroic entrance. They're going to try and deny that third grub and get 4 grubs for themselves, which would give them Void Might spawns. And so they are going to, I think it was Phaser in the Death Realm there with Supro, who got over the wall to escape, so that's why he couldn't hit that grub. But this should mean, yes, there is the 4 grubs secured for Sky Splitters. So they have the Void Mites available to them this game. So that is a huge play that they made. They denied that. And look at the damage from Guilty Free Soul now. 2-0 on this Lucian, taking control of the bot lane. Caitlyn has not found the lead that she would want in this lane. And again, we talked about topside too, not going too well for Orange OnlyFans either. Sky Splitters, they have a gold lead. Their lanes are winning. This is looking like they're setting themselves up for a game 2 victory here, Claire.
It's looking really nice. They invested so much for that grub, or for that fourth grub. It makes a lot of sense, though. It opens up so many possibilities for their split pushing. And you can see just how much more damage it's going to deal to this tower. It's going to just aggro the tower for everybody. And we do see Supro trying to get the gank. Maybe we can get onto Kyo. The TP comes through. A lot invested into this bot lane dive.
4 versus 2. And Guilty Free Soul trying to run for his life. Doesn't have flash, just used it. And it's not going to be enough to save his life. So good play from Oran's OnlyFans. They get stuff back. Although Ajuka is going to lose a lot here topside for this play. I think 2 kills is going to make it worthwhile. They're also going to get a tower, or maybe not an entire tower, but they are going to get at least some plates. And FaZe are going to get plates as well. So the thing is, you make this play happen, and it's a nice gold injection for your team, but it's kind of shared. And Hayasaka plus Phaser now are getting solo plates. They're denying farm. The solo laners for Sky Splitters are going to be much farther ahead now because of these selfless plays that Ajuka and Small PPW were making. So pay attention to how that relates as we get further into the game.
Yeah, the tower is going down topside, so that's going to be first turret to go over. That's going to be the Infernal Dragon to go over to Sky Splitters, just still picking up every advantage they can get along the way, even if it does cost them some of the lives of their teammates. But I mean, still, they're online. They have quite a substantial gold lead of about 2K. I think it's split over everyone pretty equally at the moment, but it needs Orange OnlyFans to get back into this game, and their first course of action is going to try to get to this Rift Herald.
Yep, they're going to try and get the Rift Herald, and there's not enough people from Sky Splitters right now to contest this. So it's going to go the way of Orange OnlyFans. It will be Supro to pick up the eye. So we'll see how effectively they can use this, because yes, it's very nice to get yourself the Herald, but you also have to use it in an effective manner. And they're also losing a lot on the bot side as well. Small PP Weeb is here to try and collect this experience, but Guilty and Kyo should not let Small PP Weeb through here. This is very illegal, the way he walked through it like this. And Guilty is doing his very best to punish, and they did so. They chunked him out a lot, but now they have to play a little bit careful because Supro is here. I don't think this is going to develop into a play. This is just Orange OnlyFans protecting their towers. The Small people we've taken some very greedy pathing, and now Jin gonna preemptively use that flash, but Thrasher has a flash of his own and will probably use it. The rest of Orange OnlyFans here to try and protect their AD carry, but Thrasher is still on the hunt, on the pursuit, gonna run into that trap, but here comes Guilty Free Soul dashing forward. There's the Unbreakable Shield from Dimuda to try and block a little bit of damage to the Glacial Fissure as well to try and peel away for his AD carry, but Thrasher has found the damage. The Crescent Guard will deal enough, and that Xin Zhao is on the board for his third kill, and Sky Splitter is continuing to apply the aggression in the enemy jungle.
It's looking strong here for Sky Splitters. Ajuka, you need to defend this turret, but you're pretty far behind. You're building the Eclipse, so it's just not going to be a lot of damage against Phaser here, and you just take so much. It's just not what you want to see, and just a flash, and you're dead, and the turret is probably not going to live for too much longer as this wave comes through, and the bot side now is where the pressure lies. But Vex, can you engage onto this? You have that R. You might be able to follow up. Maybe you're waiting for Supro, but you're not gonna fire it off. So it's not looking great now for Orange OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Especially in that top lane. It's
yeah, we do have to be a little critical of Orange OnlyFans. The Renekton, they wanted the red side, they wanted the counter pick. The Renekton really didn't work out. It's hard for a champion like Renekton to play versus Mordekaiser, who has an inherent range advantage with Q. Can constantly space Renekton, can steal Renekton's stats. It's not the greatest of matchups here, and Phaser is exploiting that sort of draft mistake here from Orange OnlyFans, able to find lots of success on the Mordekaiser. So this is one of the big reasons why Sky Splitters, on top of the fact that they are continually making plays with both Hayasaka and Thrasher, they just look like the better team right now. Although the game is not over, there is still room for a comeback here for Orange Only fans. They have to try and catch people out. Thrasher could be making the mistake that leads to a comeback that they're hoping for. Small PP Weeb could follow this with the ultimate, is going to do so, and Jin with the ace in the hole will find the first kill of the fight. The Spectral Maw with the flash will not land for Supro, so they do not get onto Guilty Free Soul, although they have picked the jungler here, and the dragon is alive in 15 seconds, although priority still maintained here for the Sky Splitters. They're trying to get into this river area. They've summoned the Rift Herald to try and apply some pressure, and the dragon's coming up in 5 seconds. We are going to see a contest for this. Orange Only fans does not want to give this one up. They know they have an advantage right now. Thrasher is up in 6 seconds, is not here for this play. It's going to be an engage from one of these teams, or maybe it's just Sky Splitters playing bodyguard here for this dragon. They're going to knock down that Rift Herald, and the Drake is going to be started up because finally they've relinquished the prio. Thrasher is walking up from base, but I don't think they have enough time to get this dragon. They're going to make an excellent call, which is to pressure the mid lane. This is really good macro decisions here from Sky Splitters.
You're going to crack open this tier 2, get a lot of gold online. The dragon does go down, but I don't think they really care too much about that. They're going to rotate over now. We do see the Baron to come up in about a minute. They're rotating immediately up to this top side, wanting to get that second tier 2 knocked down. It makes a lot of sense. Their macro here is looking pretty clean. They know what they want to value, and they're doing it so extremely well, and Orange Only fans is being caught off guard, it seems. Hayasaka just being able... who does damage to you? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Hayasaka is looking very scary in the front line. Would take a lot of damage if they would all converge onto the Galio, but of course, when he has an AoE taunt, that's very, very dangerous. Phaser is now being targeted, but still has the Death Realm in the back pocket in case he gets into trouble. And it looks like now enough has been taken from Sky Splitters. They're going to back this one off and reset and look to continue to dominate in this game now with that extra gold that they pocketed themselves from taking down that mid lane tier 2. And Baron is now on the map, so Sky Splitters may look towards an early Baron as well.
I'm not too sure they do it not super quickly, but they definitely can make it happen. But it's looking a bit rough into these next couple of fights. The dragon isn't up for about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Orange Only fans in that time can still farm around the map, but priority should just be given over towards Sky Splitters just because of those turrets all being knocked down. All those tier 1s, so it's very rough. The engage is very difficult, but
they're making a play onto Hayasaka, both Supro and Ajuka. So here they go. They're going to try and knock down this Galio, who doesn't really have a lot of armor, and still just waltzing out of this situation with only 50% of his HP bar taken down, but may have gotten a bit too aggressive here and overstayed his welcome. That tower is low and will not live forever, forced to burn the flash. But this is, remember, the jungler from Orange Only fans who is in the bot side. So, of course, Sky Splitters are making a play towards the Baron, but Thrasher, make sure you don't go too far forward. They do have basically a free Baron with Supro gone, but now they've taken a lot of time to try and find this fight here. They forced it a little bit too hard, and now they can't quite take the Baron because the rest of Supro and Ajuka have arrived to this play, and now they are the ones on the back foot. Supro inside of the mist, looking to continue the fight for Orange Only fans. They're looking for Thrasher. Ajuka flashes forward, does find the stun. They're going to be able to take down the Sky Splitters jungler, and now 5 versus 4 could look towards the Baron themselves. Guilty Free Soul trying to do a little bit of damage onto Small PP Weave, and the fight will continue. Orange Only fans trying to finish them, trying to put them in the dirt, trying to mount the comeback. The shutdown for Supro is massive, and Guilty Free Soul dashes over the wall to try and avenge his support, but he can't quite do it because the rest of Orange Only fans have converged onto him. The heroic entrance will not save the AD carry of Sky Splitters. It's a 5 or a 4 for 1 rather. It's actually a 4 for 0 in favor of Orange Only fans, and they are now going to grab the Bear and Claire. We are witnessing them come back from an unfortunate game state a few minutes ago.
We're witnessing a game here. Just the way that they found and eliminated Thrasher to really open up that team fight was so perfect. Orange Only fans back on the map, being able to get this Baron down. They have that Dragon lead. The next one's up in a minute 30. They might be able to get themselves their foot in the door and get back into this game. It's only a 1k gold lead now separating these two teams. Items are going to be bought. Supro's in a pretty strong position and could 100% get some resets off into these fights. Could absolutely pop off against this Sky Splitters team.
Yeah, they have found success in this last fight. They now have a Baron to their name. They have closed the gold gap from what was once 5,000 to 2,000. They are in a much better position. They have 2 dragons, so dragon stacking is not a problem. If they feel they don't have the means to contest one of these neutral objectives, they don't have to. They're not forced to go out of their comfort zone right now. They can kind of play a little bit more on their own terms than they could previously. Ajuka's trying to defend the tower, going to look for the 1v1 against Phaser. Can he win it out this time? Does pop the Dominus and is getting a lot of damage now onto Phaser, who does pop the shield to mitigate that tower shot and has yet to pop the Death Realm. But it's going to be both of the top laners backing off, and both of these teams now with 15 seconds on the Cloud Drake, they're going to look towards this.
Cloud Drake coming up 9 seconds. Both these teams just wanting to converge onto it, but you have to take a look at Ajuka. You do have TP in hand, but you are just hanging around to that top lane. You need a good TP position. There are some wards down. There are some traps down. TP to come through from Phaser. So the fight not quite breaking out yet. TP from Ajuka to come through. But who's going to be the first to strike? Some poke damage is really nice.
Yeah, here we go. Jin is pulled in, and Hayasaka goes in as well, finds an engage onto multiple people, and now the fight's going to break off. This heroic entrance could be huge. Ajuka is 1v1ing Phaser in the Death Realm, and Phaser is going to be victorious, but is fallen low, and now Supro could be trying to get those resets online, does find the Heartbreaker kill, turns into the Galio, finds the second kill, finds a third, and now Orange OnlyFans are winning the fight even after they lose that initial pick. It is now a 4-for-1, and they are fully back in this game, and they may just be in the lead for the first time in this series.
And dominantly as well, Supro finding so much value into that fight, all really off the back. I mean, they needed a sacrifice, right? They're not all going to stay alive, and that sacrifice was Ajuka. Quite frankly, popped like a balloon when he went in there, but I mean, it made the space. It used the cooldowns for Sky Splitters, and it allows them to get this turret, it allows them to get these 2 turrets, get that Drake, and slowly, I mean, quickly now get into this leading position. They need to back now, get these items online, and try to get the rest of the standing gold that has been just sitting there, specifically that tier 1 in that top lane. We can already see Ajuka just trying to farm out that wave, trying to farm all that he can up there, and just slowly have a pretty stable game for the next couple of minutes before this next Baron starts.
So the dangers for Sky Splitters in these fights have been their engage has failed, and they continue to try and look for the fights, or even if they don't look for the fight and they try and disengage, they don't really have disengage aside from a tidal wave from Nami. So if they use Nami's tidal wave aggressively, they have no disengage options, and this is what we saw in the last fight. They got the first pick. Phaser won the 1v1 against Ajuka, but after that, they tried to go forward, but they had no means of getting onto Caitlyn, of killing Supro, and they gave him the reset, which ended up winning them out the fight. And now they're going to look for the 2v1 onto Phaser, who's going to put Ajuka in the Death Realm. The Cavalry has arrived, though, for Sky Splitters. Maybe they're the ones making the mistakes now, but Guilty Free Soul is locked up in the middle of the Viego, and it's not going to matter, though, because the collapse is in for Sky Splitters. They're trying to remedy the mistakes of those previous fights, and they catch Orange OnlyFans getting too aggressive, trying to make another winning play, and they punish.
Yeah, but what else can they get off of this? 2 kills down, that's 2 pretty massive members for Orange OnlyFans, but it doesn't seem that they want to continue to go through that one. They know they got enough value. They got those 2 kills, they got that turret all taken down. It's just best if they reset, look for something new. Don't want to stretch their luck too much.
And they still have a lead in the gold, although as the game goes on, the gold lead becomes less and less meaningful as these teams start to get towards their item spikes. The junglers are getting around their 2-3 item spikes, and that's about as far as they will get in this game unless it goes up to like 40 minutes or something. Both 80 carries looking for their 3rd items. And a big thing that can make a difference in these fights is which team has their completed items finished. If you have a team of all 3 items versus a team with 2.5, the completed items are much more gold efficient than the components. So this is another thing to keep in mind, and an interesting thing to watch out for when you watch these types of games. is these fights are very close. Both of these teams are winning their fair share of fights. It could come down to not only the execution in the fights, but the item spikes as well. So take the Lucian, for example, who has now just finished his Infinity Edge. If they were to fight now, he is much stronger than the Caitlyn, who's only at 2.5 items. So there are a lot of things to think about when a game is this close. And we'll see. I mean, I don't know if they're going to pick and choose their fights based on this. But nonetheless, we have a very tight game now. Orange Only Fans has made it a game. They are fighting for their spot in this league. The Baron is soon to come up, and I'm certain we are going to see some action around this objective, as it is going to be very influential for this game.
Yeah, this is where this action is going to take place. I wonder how much value Orange Only Fan is going to put over towards that Baron, right? You are on Soul Point, so you would like to get your Cloud Soul and, you know, run around the map real fast, but it doesn't seem that that's going to come very easily for you. And you might just trade Baron for this Dragon. If you know, worst comes to worst, looking at the posturing and the positioning for these players of Sky Splitters, it seems that they want to focus on this bot side of the map more than anything. Phaser dueling Ajuka in this top lane and absolutely winning that handily, so that is good to see if you're Sky Splitters.
They're making the rotation to the bot side. The main thing that Sky Splitters want is to keep priority over waves, so if they find a pick, they can then quickly turn to the Baron and they don't have to worry about Orange Only Fans trading an inhibitor for it because their mid wave wasn't pushed or their bot wave wasn't pushed and they lose 2 turrets. But now the Baron is sort of becoming an afterthought because now 8 seconds to go on this Cloud Drake, and this is Orange Only Fans' soul. If they can secure it, they don't have priority right now, so they do have to face check some of these brushes, try and get some vision down. They are at a disadvantage because of that guilty-free soul clearing away that ward in the brush, so it makes things very hard for Orange Only Fans and very dangerous as well. But Phaser is actually the one that's going to face check. This is a massive communications blunder. Phaser is forced into 5 people, but thankfully has the death bomb to keep him safe, and also smartly used the ultimate onto the Braum, so he didn't end up losing the 1v1. And now the rest of the team is here for Sky Splitters. Ajuka is able to survive, takes a lot of damage from the culling. It ends up being a 0-for-0. But right now, I do favor the Sky Splitters as they have gotten the priority back. But Thrasher has gotten too far forward, took a lot of his HP from the Viego and the Caitlyn. Now the Dragon down to 3k HP. It's going to be a smite fight, but it's going to be secured by Thrasher. And they've actually find the kill onto Supro as well. The Crescent Guard doing so much work, but now he goes in without it and drops immediately. Thrasher falls. Hayasaka looking for the engage onto Jin, who flashes over the wall as well. Diluta tanking up in the front line, using the dash to get back away. It's the kite back. Look at the damage from Jin onto Kyo. Almost does all his health with one auto attack, but it's critically the soul denial for Sky Splitters, and they are going to be happy with that.
They're going to be more than happy picking up this Dragon. What else can they get off the back of it? They did kill Supro. That's a massive pick. I don't think they're going to go and try and get this Baron, as Thrasher has also died in the fight. But yeah, still, they're keeping their game alive. Both these teams neck and neck at the moment. But I mean, just one of them needs to come out on top. Dimuta just going through, being very confident. Even though, I mean, you do have a lot of teammates here, but I feel like the possibility of getting picked off at any moment is quite concerning if you're this support player.
Yeah, you have to fight for the vision. You have to walk with your team, make sure you're not falling in these critical moments around the Baron, because any advantage that one of these teams find, they will look to exploit. The game is that tense. The game is that close. It is Orange Only Fans still on the back foot. They do have to fight for this vision, and it is a little bit easier for Sky Splitters to find it, especially when they are on the red side. A little bit easier to get priority on the Baron because you don't have to navigate around the terrain. It's going to be favorable for them in this situation for the moment. They have the priority. They're sweeping away the vision. Orange Only Fans need to look for an opportunity to strike, and they might have found it just now. Thrasher's been stunned up. Thrasher with the concussive blows. Can't quite cast the Crescent Guard and dies before he can use that ability. Supro now transforms into the Xin Zhao. Does have the Heartbreaker reset. Phaser has put someone in the Death Realm. It looks like it was the Viego, but it doesn't look like he's actually winning this one out. He does actually do it indeed. but this will be the fight win for Orange Only fans. They found the misplay. Thrasher was overextended, and Thrasher died. They get a 2-for-1, and it looks like they might get the Baron as well. Both junglers are dead, and I don't think a contest will come through. Maybe it will, though. Hayasaka is basing, but he has TP, and they aren't dealing much damage so far to this Baron. It's still very healthy, still at 8,000 damage, and there's no smites available for either of these players, for either of these teams. Right now, they're going to try and look to make the play, going to try and look for a Miracle Seal. Guilty Free Soul dealing a lot of damage. Hayasaka tanking up in the front line. There's the first kill for the Sky Splitters. No one's finishing the Baron. You guys have to, someone has to hit it. Where is Guilty Free Soul? There he is, dealing lots of damage. Hayasaka, though, dropping. Jin is so very low. 1 HP is the Caitlyn. Very close to dying. His small PP weave as well. And the Baron is now resetting. So in this exchange, no one is getting it at all. It could just be a free take here for Sky Splitters, depending on how long it takes Orange Only fans to reset.
It's pure chaos in most of these positions. Nobody being able to deal that much damage. I mean, all things considered, it's just, I mean, Hayasaka can go in, can fear a lot of people, can taunt so many people, but it's just like there's just no follow-up. It's such a difficult position. Everyone has so much sustain, and it's just a stalemate. I feel like in most of these fights, you can see that Vex hasn't died a single time. Only 2 deaths for Hayasaka. Just we're back into this position where everyone is just back in their lanes. They're farming. Nobody can really make a play. No one is a bit too scared to make a play because...
Here we go. 2 versus 1 on the top side again. They're going to go for it. Phaser is overextended. He always has the Death Realm available. He has to win this 1 versus 1, though. It doesn't look like he's going to do it for the moment, but the Zhonya's is huge, and Phaser makes the big play to make it a 1-for-1. So now it's 4 versus 4 for the Baron, and Guilty Free Soul and Thrasher are waiting inside of this brush. They're going to step out of it now, so Orange Only fans will know where they are. And again, it's the vision game. And I think there was a missed opportunity for Orange Only fans, or sorry, for Sky Splitters to grab the Baron while Orange Only fans were resetting. They could have snuck it underneath their noses, but they didn't quite pounce on the opportunity. So here we are at a 4 versus 4. And it's probably just going to end up being both top laners respawning, and now 30 seconds on the Drake. These teams are going to look to move towards it. If I was Sky Splitters, if I was Orange Only fans, I would trade the Drake for the Baron right now. If I'm them, I'm thinking, okay, they don't have the soul threat, right? This would just bring them to soul points. So if we trade Dragon for Baron, then this could be a massive play for us, and we'll see if they actually end up making that call. It looks like that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, they need to make this happen. They should do it extremely fast. I mean, they have that Caitlyn who's going to be doing it. Yeah, look how quickly this is being done. They might even have a chance to fight for that dragon, as Sky Splitters is not going towards the dragon. They want to fight. They want to contest this, but I think it's going down too fast.
And here comes the tidal wave. They're going to drop it down low. Thrasher is not even remotely close to this, but although Guilty Free Soul has found a kill, this Baron does go the way of Orange Only fans, but can they get out with their lives? Thrasher is now here, flashes over the wall, finds the first kill onto Jin. That's now 2 dead for the side of Orange Only fans, and Small PvP is forced to flash away from this play. And so they do get the Baron. They do lose the fight. Right now, though, this is worth for Orange Only fans. They do lose 2 members. So Sky Splitters now, with the 2-person advantage, have to try and make the most out of their numbers right now.
They only have 3 alive, but 3 with Baron. 3 that can hang on to these inhibitor turrets with these super minions. You just gotta clear these waves. But Supro isn't necessarily too good at that as Yuka, and you need to invest a lot into clearing these waves. But Small PP Weave can absolutely control this mid lane. The wave clear for Vex is very, very strong. So, but look at Thrasher. Take a look. Just wanting to take out that Drake, and I mean, you did get the Baron. You lost the Drake. Your game is still alive. It's only a 2k gold disadvantage. But, like, I mean, where does this game end, right? You need to invest so much. All of these fights are just so even between these 2 teams. And I mean, this feels like every fight just goes on for so long. No team really wins it. You kind of just end up leaving, and you try to get anything else that's on the map. It's very scrappy from both these teams.
It's very scrappy indeed. This is giving me MSI vibes. You know, we've had so many good games at MSI. They went just like this. You have back and forth team fights. Some teams are winning some of them, and the other team is winning the others. They're trading neutral objectives. We're going to a 7th dragon before Elder. This is anyone's game, and it is going to come down to who can team fight better, who can make better decisions around the map. These are the games that you love to see, and I'm really happy we're getting these performances from both of these teams in the playoffs, because this is exactly what you want. This is what the playoffs are all about. It's do or die right now for Orange Only fans. Do or die for both these teams when we're talking the series. I don't know if the nerves are getting to any of them, but if they are feeling any nerves, then they would feel them right about now, as the pressure is almost becoming, or almost getting to a critical mass here, especially once that soul does spawn. But we're going to get a fight here before that even happens. Thrash is going to use the Crescent Guard to keep himself alive, and is going to jump right back in, but there's no other follow-up for the moment. It's only Phaser who's going to put himself into the death realm. It's a 1-for-0 right now for Orange Only fans. Phaser is trying to win the 1v1 here against Imuda in the death realm, but he doesn't quite have enough damage to take down the Braum. It's a double kill for Jin, and now 5 versus 3. What can Orange Only fans do? They could potentially end if all goes right. If not, they're at least going to get an inhibitor.
You do have this one minion, right? But the wave does come through. This tower is under a pretty constant pressure. SSR realizing they just need to give this one up. You can't really do too much, or your best bet is just to clear this wave, make sure everything is cleared, and right on out of there. You need to survive. Phaser is, and Thrasher, one of your strongest members on your team, just going down, but
go for it. 3-person taunt here, Guilty Free Soul, trying to do enough damage to keep themselves in this game. They're clearing the wave, and they've done it. They've stopped the push. Small PPV almost drops, and Hayasaka goes back in. Guilty Free Soul did dash into the trap, though. It's an absolute tragedy. They had it, but then they lose their AD carry. Thrasher is alive. Phaser is going to be alive as well, but they're still in the same position. 3 versus 5 here. Thrasher's forced to make the play, but it's a massive tidal wave. This could be the turning point here. Phaser flashes forward, pulls the rest of them in. Now both Nexus turrets have fallen. It's the Nexus that is exposed. Jin is dealing so much damage in the backline. The pullback from Supro is excellent. The Heartbreaker used, and Jin is going to do enough damage. This was such a crazy ending to the game, and Orange Only fans, though, clutch up and tie the series. We're going to game number 3.
yes, we are, in a fashion that I did not think that we were gonna see. I am not too sure just how that was converted from Orange Only fans. It seems quite doomed and gloomed there in the early parts of the game, but they turn it around. I'm not necessarily sure. They just scrap. They inch by inch they win this game, finding every advantage they can in all of those fights, and just finally being able to get those last couple of picks onto Phaser and onto Thrasher, ending the game and making the series 1-1, sending us to a game 3.
And game 3 will be on the way. An absolute bang out finish. Orange Only fans keeping their season alive. Will the Sky Splitters deny the reverse sweep, or will Orange Only fans reign triumphant? We will find out in the coming moments. We're going to take another very speedy break, and then we'll bring you game number 3. Welcome back for game 3 of our first playoff series. Orange only fans, they've decided they do not want to go out quietly. They want to take at least one game off of the Sky Splitters and force the match point here. It already was match point, but they are making it their own match point now with the series 1-for-1. Sky Splitters, with the loss in the previous game, were awarded side selection, and they decided to choose red side. So again, the theme of this series when it comes to the draft and the side selections is counterpick is what these teams like. So that is what they're going for. And that game, Claire, it couldn't have been any closer.
Yeah, an extremely close game from both of those sides. Just a nail biter from both those teams. Every single fight just only moving the needle by like a millimeter. But I mean, this is a new game. This is game 3. Players are revitalized. Brand new time, brand new scene, different sides. So let's just like dive into this one.
Let's dive into it indeed. And the bans have been pretty static for the first round that we've seen. So we'll see if there's any changes. For Orange only fans, they're sticking with the Volley Bear. They're probably going to go with the Jinx ban next. I honestly forget what their third ban was, but we'll see if any of the picks from the previous games are going to be banned away. Ajuka's Aatrox is going to remain off the board. Blitzcrank taken off as well. Or I think it was, the Blitzcrank taken away in the second ban. And it actually was the Sky Splitters that were banning away the Jinx. So right now, it looks like both of these teams are sticking to their guns with these bans. It's actually going to be an MF takeaway. So Orange only fans thinking back to game number 1 and saying, okay, they might pull out that MF again based on what we're cooking up for our draft. Let's try and take that one away. So there's a little bit of an adaptation in the ban phase.
Yeah, and we've seen this Wukong hovered, I think it's mainly by Sky Splitters in a couple of these games. I'm curious as to why, you know? I'm curious as to, do you want it in the jungle? Do you want it in the top lane? Where would you like it to go? And we might just see it into this game. And that is exactly what is going to happen. But the pick now for Orange only fans, what would you like to pick into this Thresh Wukong being shown so far?
Well, it's going to be the Caitlyn, and they're going to run it back with 2 of the champions, 3 of the champions actually, the exact same comp so far that they've played in game number 2 is being picked here in game number 3. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you are playing against a different looking Sky Splitters team. I love the Jhin pick for Sky Splitters into the Caitlyn. It does excellently versus range. It does not suffer from a range disadvantage. You have Deadly Flourish for a root. You have Curtain Call. You have Bouncing Grenades, which can deal lots of damage through the wave. Jhin has no problem against Caitlyn, and it is an excellent choice here in the bot side, and also one of the few benefactors here for the ADC changes, and a very strong champion right now. So far in draft, I'm liking what the Sky Splitters are doing. They're making the adaptations based on what went wrong last time around. And Orange only fans on the other side, they're just hoping that what worked will continue to work.
Yeah, and we're going to see the Braum to come through yet again, and really it's the final pick would be a Renekton, which did work. It was an interesting top lane matchup, but I mean, it went through. It could be the Mordekaiser, could switch it up on pick 5, and that's exactly what we're going to see. And what would you like to play? It would be quite poetic to see the...
And they might just be memeing on him with the Renekton hover. I don't know. I personally don't like the Renekton into Mordekaiser. And we saw it struggle last game as well, despite Orange only fans getting the win. They didn't really have too much fun up there in the top side, and Sky Splitter's not going to make that choice. Their answer into the Mordekaiser will be the Trundle.
Which seems, in my opinion, to be a lot stronger than the Renekton was, right? I think the Trundle's gonna have a much easier time, can definitely outpace this Mordekaiser, can just really not take a fight, can just kind of chill in top lane for the most part, can take pretty even trades as well. So it's something that I think is going to be a lot more of a good time. Even though a lot of people aren't picking Trundle at the moment, I think it could be very strong into this Mordekaiser and into the rest of the composition, because like Vex is pretty squishy, Kalen's pretty squishy, and so is Viego, and I think they're all going to have a pretty difficult time to get on top of this Trundle.
Well, their goal, at least the Caitlyn's goal, is to stay away from that Trundle.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about Trundle is Mordekaiser steals your stats, and then Trundle says, "I'll take my stats right back, and I'm stealing yours." So it's a stat stealing battle here on the top side. What I do like, or I like the adaptation here from Sky Splitter is maybe they, you know what, maybe they thought we would normally want Renekton, but based on how the matchup went last time, we don't. The thing about Trundle and the difference between Trundle and Renekton is while Trundle also struggles with getting spaced by the Mordekaiser Q, his all-in is much better with Ghost, with Pillar. He can run down the Mordekaiser and try and go for these all-in plays with his heavy DPS. There's no lethal tempo in the game anymore, so it's going to be the new press the attack for phasers. So we'll see how well this works with Trundle. This is going to be something that it's going to be my first time seeing. I think normally the play was for Trundle to take lethal tempo and beat you senseless. So we'll see how good Trundle is with the press the attack in the new split.
Yeah, I just, from what I'm seeing, from what I've seen, nobody is really playing Trundle at all. So I have little to no expectations at the moment, but we are still seeing this Vex come through. We saw it be very successful last time, but that was a different game. Now you're versing a Hui, which is also, you know, a very strong control mage. It's not the Galio anymore, so you need to watch out. You're going to be a little bit more contested in lane. You're going to get poked out a little bit more than, say, you would against the Galio, but I still think you're going to have a pretty okay time in lane.
Yeah, and another thing, well, hold on a second. Keo, cheeky inside of that brush, finds the hook, but no follow-up there. I don't think a follow-up would have been smart either. They made the right call. Jhin versus Braum. The thing about Jhin is he does a lot of his damage in big sections with those 4 shots, with his 4 ultimate shots. The nice thing about Braum is you can completely negate the damage. Maybe not completely negate it, but at least negate a lot of it with your unbreakable shield. So if you time it right, Braum can be very effective against Jhin. Like you time your unbreakable shield with his 4th shot, that's a lot of Jin's damage that's being mitigated. So we'll see how well Dmuda plays around this matchup. You can see right there, the bouncing grenade was completely denied by the unbreakable shield. So I like the Braum pick as well. This is the same bot lane that Orange OnlyFans found success with last game. So we'll see if they can match this Jhin counter pick nicely with their Braum pick there, as now we see a gank from Supro. They're getting involved early in this bot side. Guilty Free Soul is going to have to flash away from the Spectrum Wall. Decides not to. The concussive blows will go through because of that, and does burn both summoners to get away from this play. However, the death sentence finds the CC, and then Supro is going to have to use a flash of his own to get away from the deadly flourish, which would have rooted him under the tower and made him die here. And so we do see trades of summoner spells, but now it's the Sum's disadvantage here for Sky Splitter's bot lane. Both Keo and Guilty Free Soul have no summoners to work with anymore. Dmuda and Jhin have both of theirs.
And a good trade. The gank, you know, probably not what you would want to get a kill there, but I mean, still getting so many sums out. A lot of priority now is going to be a bit easier for Orange OnlyFans to get. Dragon's up in a minute 30, so you might see Viego try to clear that top lane and path towards bot. But look at that Wukong. We just saw a gank. We might just see another one.
We're going to see another one. Thrasher is going to jump into this play here. An excellent deadly flourish from Guilty Free Soul. Sets up the death sentence, and Keo brings him back with Flay despite the flash. Excellent stuff from the Sky Splitters 80 carry, the Sky Splitters support, and Thrasher forcing the play with the pressure. They get it done this time in the bot lane. Now Phaser could be in trouble here topside. Remember, does not have flash. Good use of the pillar, and actually buys enough space for Phaser to escape this gank. So really good pillar placement, and makes it so that the lack of flash isn't going to be a downfall in that play.
And Phaser just looked pretty confident in this top lane matchup. It seems that Very confident, just absorbing some damage, zoning this Mordekaiser off of that wave, just because you do look pretty intimidating. You're very good at getting trades against this Mordekaiser, especially early into the game. So it's looking pretty confident for Phaser. Something that I feel like we failed to see last game. I mean, Ajuka was struggling a little bit, but still, the Mordekaiser is a very different champion, a very different matchup we're seeing here. But this mid lane has been very just static so far. Nothing going through. Both these mid laners just wanting to farm.
They come online more when they reach their level 6 spikes, and they don't necessarily hard spike at those levels, but they do get access to their ultimates, which are massive parts of their kit. Phaser going to trade now onto Ajuka. And yeah, see, this is where the lack of lethal tempo kind of hurts Trundle there. In a different time back in Split 1, that would be a time for Trundle to start pressing Ghost and stacking that lethal tempo to start clubbing him to death. But you just don't quite have that level of DPS there without it, and so Phaser starts to win the war there in that 1 versus 1. Now Small PP Weeb does use the ultimate here, but can't quite follow it up because Hayasaka's underneath the turret, and an excellent roam from Guilty Free Soul, and Kyo has earned another kill for Sky Splitters. They are now sitting at 2-0, and the kill score, and an excellent move for them earns themselves a kill and what looks like an Infernal Drake as well.
A lot of priority gotten here. D-Muda, you can see it just maybe trying to get some vision of the Dragon Pit, but I don't think you can really do too much. You can try your best to steal it with some abilities, but I don't think it's really going to do too much. It was a solid attempt, nonetheless. But yeah, everything just going to return to normal. A pretty massive gold lead so far for Sky Splitters, and I expect to see that be the case for the next couple of minutes, unless a play can be made. But a play is coming through for Braum and Caitlyn is very difficult to make happen.
Yeah, it's difficult for them to find much here in this lane. They aren't really able to exercise any type of aggression because when they step up, they're under the risk of a Thresh Hook getting damaged by Jhin, which can turn into a Deadly Flourish route. They also have to be careful of Wukong. This is excellent drafting from Sky Splitters. There's also been a lot of praise here for Kyo's Thresh here. I saw Meepa was praising his Thresh in the chat. Kyo is also praising Guilty Free Soul in the future tense here as this game, as he's watching his own game, as now we see the Grubs fight break out. Hayasaka is caught out here, gets hit by the Spectral Maw, does not have Flash, and now Thrasher goes in onto 2 people. The first kill of the game is going to be earned here for Orange OnlyFans. They're going to grab a second one. The collapse onto the Grubs is excellent for OOF, and they are going to get these Grubbies for themselves, and it will be the first Grubbies of the game for both of these teams.
Yeah, and what's interesting is a lot of the times we just see this bot lane roam, like, as a team, and just absolutely find so much value across the map, and it is just not punished at all. And a lot of that comes down to, just the vision not being as good, but I feel like a lot of these players are really confident and what they're doing, and it's just sometimes it works a lot, but sometimes it's a little bit scary, and Jhin getting that flash taken away by Kyo, and absolutely a great trade. The Hextech Flash for just a regular Flash is a great trade for Kyo here, and this bot lane is looking favorable for Sky Splitters so far.
Absolutely. And a great thing about Jhin, on top of the fact of the things I've already talked about, is he neutralizes lanes very well. Caitlyn likes to play aggressive in lane, although she does scale nicely. A lot of her advantages come from her ability to bully in lane, but she can't bully that Jhin. Jhin neutralizes lanes very well. So this is looking very good for the Sky Splitters, like you just mentioned, Claire. The top lane, although I talked about the lack of lethal tempo, is unfortunate for Phaser. Look at the CS lead, 19 CS for the Trundle. Much better, or at least it was Phaser that was winning in the previous game, but much better for the person playing into the Mordekaiser this time, which happens to be the person that was playing Mordekaiser last game is now playing into the Mordekaiser and doing a little bit better this time around. The fights aren't going great, but you are last hitting nicely. So at the end of the day, you still find yourself in a little bit of a lead. You just have to be careful there as you are pushed up with a little bit less HP. Don't want to get solo killed. There's no neutral objectives on the map. We're going to look to see where these junglers are playing. They're both on the same side of the map. Bot lane might be the next play.
It's just uncertain of like where to go next, but everyone just farming. Again, nobody wanting to make a play. We do see Thrasher down near bot lane, seeing if maybe a gank is possible, just spotting out some vision though, making it very unlikely that he's going to go for anything, but I mean, still hanging around for the time being, and it's going to be for too long, but a great hook there.
In goes Keo, but you have to be careful. You're going to take a lot of damage, and you're dropping very low. The flash forward from Thrasher to try and save his support isn't going to work out. They do get the kill. They don't save Keo, but this looks like it might be a 2-for-1. Muda uses the Glacial Fissure plus the flash to try and buy himself some space, but Thrasher has some gap closers of his own, and the Monkey King will get a double kill. Supro is here to try and find something back for Orange OnlyFans, but not quite going to get it. And Small PPE made a trip down to the bot lane as well, but nothing else is going to happen. It's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of the Sky Splitters, and they are going to take that trade every day of the week.
Yeah, Sky Splitters, like, the ganks have come through so well. Right when Keo has been on point, hitting all of those hooks and absolutely catching this Orange OnlyFans team, or specifically this bot lane, just off guard. And it's been very nice to see, right? This Thresh getting so much value. I know people were talking about it before. Not something that we see every day, but a very viable pick, and you can obviously see why here. But I mean, this top lane been very stagnant in its own right. Just Phaser CSing a little bit better here, and slowly building up that gold lead, but an all-in might go through here.
An all-in certainly could happen. Phaser now is forced to fight Ajuka in the Death Realm. Actually, it wasn't even in the Death Realm. Yeah, Ajuka steals the stats and finds that last Decimating Smash to finish off the kill. Mordekaiser keeps up with the dominance in this series, and Ajuka now on the opposite side of the matchup finds the solo kill and denies this entire wave as Phaser doesn't even have teleport to get back. And now in the bot side here, Supro has entered the river and is met with both Thrasher and Keo. Small PP Weave has also followed into danger. The last shot misses there from Guilty Free Soul, or the third last shot, but gets the kill in the end. The curtain call will find its mark, and Small PP Weave will die, and that means numbers advantage right now for Sky Splitters, for this Chemtech Drake. This could be Drake number 2 for them. Keo finds a hook over the wall, not necessarily a priority target, not going to follow through. The Drake will be taken, and Sky Splitters find themselves in a very happy position. They lose one on the top side, but they will take that trade with the Dragon, and they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, getting their second Drake online is going to be a Cloud Soul Rift, so wanting to build those up next, and I mean, look at that. We see Thrasher just wanting to clear everything, going to back now. I mean, first item slowly getting online here, so the power spikes to come through. You can see Jhin already having Collector in his hands. Caitlyn not quite building up to that first item yet, so needing to look out. The spot lane favoring Sky Splitters, the jungle favoring Sky Splitters. Mid is pretty even at the moment, but just look at Keo. Those hooks are on and hitting almost every single time, and just looking very deadly in any position.
I need my Thresh player. I need my Threshes in solo queue to start playing like this. I wish my solo queue Thresh players were watching. This is how you play. This is how you hit hooks. This is how you do anything in the game. Look at that. Excellent stuff. They find the hook onto Jhin. Right on cue. There goes the box to deal a little bit more damage. Keo flashes away. Guilty Free Soul flashes forward into melee range to find the kill. But here comes a TP. It's Small PP Weave getting involved in the play. Gonna make it a 1-for-1. So not bad at all for Orange OnlyFans. Could make it a 2-for-1 if that last ultimate hit there from Small PP Weave. Unfortunately, it did not. And a good TP play there to make that one even. And they could actually collapse here as well onto Hayasaka. The Spectral Maw is channeling. The flash is used, but look at that fear from Hayasaka was excellent. And the flash away from the Heartbreaker is so good. And the shield to keep himself alive after getting hit by that skill shot. Wow. Chef's kiss. What excellent Hui gameplay. I know everyone in the chat will hate seeing that. They don't want to see success on the Hui, but that was just absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, Hui's a high skill champ. As for high skill players like Hayasaka, the substitute filling in so nice. You can see the support for the Hui in the chat. I mean, everyone just loves Hui. And yeah, but I mean, that's the first stuff to come through. Hui getting that power spike, building that Blackfire torch, getting some burn online. And I mean, the Vex is pretty strong, in a pretty strong position at the moment. This bot lane finally getting the items, i.e. online for the Caitlyn. And it's getting to a state where you can tell that Sky Splitters is in a leading position, but I mean, it's not by too much. I'm curious to see where this Rift Herald goes. Where does Thrasher want to put it? It seems that it's going towards top lane, wanting to dive Ajuka, but Ajuka is out of there, not wanting anything to do with this, but the top lane turret should just be going down. And that's the first turret. That's a lot of gold in the pocket for Sky Splitters, and I think they've gotten first turret every single game.
They've usually had the lead in the early portion of the game. They weren't able to convert that into a win last time around. This time, they get their next shot at it in game number 3 to close out the series. Phaser is looking like he's going to be caught, although Thrasher is here, but now he notices there's one too many members from Orange OnlyFans that have gotten involved in this play, and he knows if he gets involved as well, that he might get himself killed, and will just mitigate this play to a 1-for-0 in favor of Orange OnlyFans. But Braum is up in the top side, and they did see that Braum was here. So how can Sky Splitter's bot lane punish this? How can Guilty Free Soul and Keo here get anything, if anything, right now? They are going to be able to push in this bot wave here. Jin is all by himself down here. And we'll see if they make a play on this wave crash. I want to see what they do, if they do anything, or if they just look for a reset. I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity if they don't at least look for something.
It's... Maybe. With Dragon coming up, it would make a lot of sense for them just to keep this priority in lane, wanting to, secure this as fast as possible, get some vision in the river. It seems that what they're doing, they're sniffing out Subbro here. That ward going to spot him out. And it doesn't seem they're really getting anything at the moment. Opting to walk back towards lane as their waves are crashing. Minions are being missed for Guilty Free Soul, so unless this fight does break loose in due time.
Well, this fight definitely will break out. Both these teams want the dragon. For Sky Splitters, it's Soul Point, and for Orange OnlyFans, it is the denial of the dragon stacking. And they are the ones with the first step onto the Drake. They're starting to hit this one. It's going down very fast. All 5 people are hitting it. The hook from Keo lands, and that's a critical spell that's missed. That's the key engage for Sky Splitters. So this Drake will go the way of Orange OnlyFans, and they will not move on to Soul Point just yet. So good win there for Orange OnlyFans. They are able to keep themselves away from an unfortunate situation of being forced to contest these dragons if they don't want to prevent the soul from happening. But right now, Thrasher in between turrets looking for a play. Going to jump onto Phaser right now. The clone will drop. That wasn't the real one, but Dimuda wants to fight. The flash forward plus the Glacial Fissure. Subbro locked up, though. Thrasher gets that kill, and it is the engage from Orange OnlyFans, but it is the retaliation effort from Sky Splitter that's going to reign true. Keo finds a death sentence onto Jin, who flashes away, and Small PP Weeb is here to bring a little bit of gold back to the team here. Thrasher locked up in the Death Realm, gonna try and flash away, but Small PP Weeb is there to collect the shutdown. Big gold injected into the Vex, and what looks like a bad play for Orange OnlyFans ends up turning into an even fight, although Phaser was not involved. He was beating down the towers in the top lane.
Yeah, massive reset here, bringing Orange OnlyFans back into this game. Guilty Free Soul is with the 4th shot, taking a few too many tower shots almost, but yeah, gonna be picking that one up. Another kill to come back in the pocket of Guilty Free Soul. 4-1-4 on the Jin, dominating the bot lane along with Keo. And I mean, you can see why. You can see why this Jin was picked. It is looking extremely comfortable. 2 items now for Guilty Free Soul, and only going to get more where that came from. Trying to get back onto the Rift now, get some more value for the team. And you can see the Trundle calling to split push, so just wanted to knock these towers down.
Going to want to keep playing the side lane. I don't really see... I mean, Phaser could find value in these team fights, but there's simply more in the side lane as Thrasher wants to start this fight off, going to use the Cyclone to knock up both Dimuda and Ajuka. Jin has now joined the play, but Guilty Free Souls found the first one. Thrasher locked up in the front line, but there's so much backline power here. An excellent CC from Hayasaka along with Kyo to peel away their backline. Another hook lands for the Thresh, and Jin has no flash to escape this one. Sky Splitters may have just blown the game wide open, and look at Phaser now beating the hell out of this Vex. There is simply no chance for Small PP Weeb to win that 1 versus 1. At least he survives and gets away with his life, but the Baron is going to go the way of Sky Splitters. They are now 7,000 gold in the lead. It's almost the same position they had in game number 2, about the same position they had in game number 1, and they are going to look to finish the job this time and close out the series.
Not wanting things to go on for any longer. You can see how strong Phaser is in this position. It was struggling quite a bit against this Mordekaiser to get value, but you can see just on those side lanes, if it's Vex that has to contest this Trundle, it's just going to be a run over for Phaser extremely easily. That pillar, I don't think going the correct way, but I mean, it still should be okay. The back should come through. It might just be a little bit later. And I mean, they got the Baron. They have a lot of ways they can get this priority. The Dragon's coming up in a minute 30. Everyone's spiking here. At least 2 items for, you know, top jungle mid ADC. So just a lot of gold into their favor, and they are going to look to extend their lead, take these fights, and just feel confident for the rest of this series.
Absolutely, and they need to look for more picks with Kyo, more poke from Hui, and they can also follow up all of that with Jin. And that's what's so great about this pick, is he supports the team so well. He's more of a supportive AD carry rather than your typical DPS carry like a Jinx or an Aphelios or a Zeri. Jin can follow up, give some CC of his own, a follow-up from long range. He has lots of utility, he has slows, he has traps. It makes it very difficult for Orange OnlyFans to operate against this siege. And paired with a champion like Thresh, you can see right now they have control of the jungle, so they're going to jump onto Dimuda, who's unsuspectingly walking into multiple people, is going to try and get away, but you're walking the wrong way, my friend. Your team is the opposite direction, going to pay for his sins, and Jin will follow. Jin, no Jin, not Jin, but Jin is going to die. And that will mean third Drake most certainly for Sky Splitters and more gold into their gold lead. They are taking full control of this game, over 10k now.
And it's just the split pushing, or the pushing around the map, right? They have to deal with it, but they are just so weak that they have to put way too many numbers just to cover one person pushing. You see the Hui in the bot lane pulling over Supro. But you still have 3 members mid. Supro dealing getting dealt so much damage. You can just see how, like, you know, good and balanced this Hui is, right? Only 2 items, both of them burning. It's, you know, it's good to see, right?
Yeah, if you're a Sky Splitters fan, it is definitely good to see. There's almost not, like, nothing that can really be done for Orange Lonely fans in this situation. Think of the champions they're playing. They're playing a Viego, a melee carry jungler, into Thresh, into Jin, into a Wukong, into a Trundle that's going to club your head in if you get anywhere remotely near him, a Hui who's going to knock you back and do a bunch of mage things, space you away, deal tons of damage, slow you, all the things that Hui has at his disposal. You have Mordekaiser, who's also going to suffer the same fate because he's low range. Braum, who does very poorly into poke compositions and compositions that outrange him. It's just they're behind. They're also a little outdrafted in this situation as well. In this game state, they're being pressured from all angles. I mean, if Orange only fans can come back in this game, then honestly, pigs can fly because it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, but I think like all they needed to do is just get the activated on this Viego, right? You just gotta take down anybody, get a reset off, and then there you go. I mean, pretty much you just have a very easy chance to get back into this game. I mean, you're only down 11k gold. You're down 7 turrets. You're down two dragons. But you're up 6 grubs. So I mean, you gotta take. That makes no sense. How you have 6 grubs and 0 towers. That's a little bit unfortunate.
It is
Yeah.
very unfortunate. They can't really. You do have 6 grubs, but you're never seeing an enemy tower again in your life unless some major blunders happen from Sky Splitter's end. So let's look at the timers. A minute 20 left on the Baron, and the Soul isn't going to come up for another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Some major pressure needs to be applied from Sky Splitters here. Actually, it doesn't need to be applied, but it could be applied. They can get the 3-lane pressure, and they could also stack 5 in a lane as well. They have so much overwhelming catch potential that it's going to be really hard for Orange Only fans to survive against a 5-person siege, but they also have the option to wait out for the Baron, which looks like that might just be the play that they opt into, and that's perfectly fine. You can control the vision in the jungle. Even Dmuda getting very aggressive here. Phaser, I don't even think Phaser had to run away from Supro there. This Viego is level 12 with 1 item and no Conqueror, so it's going to be like impossible for the Viego to kill you there, but they're going the safe route. I can't hate on the safe route. I respect it. You want to make sure that you're winning this game. This is playoffs. If you make a mistake, there's no going back, right? You make a deadly mistake that costs you the game. This is it. This is your season. Phaser now trying to 1 versus 1 to juke it down here. The healing is incredible from the Trundle, and now this could break off into a full-blown 1 versus 1 that's going to go lethal. Looks like that's going to be the case. Phaser, you just got to auto-attack and you'll beat the Mordekaiser. Into the Death Realm he goes, but unfortunately not enough. Maybe I was wrong, but this Mordekaiser continues to win the 1v1s. The Baron is up. Supro just showed by. This should be Baron time for you guys, Sky Splitters.
Sky Splitter's a bit late to the rotation over there, and I feel like they think it's undoable now, but the Jhin, big stuns onto the Vex. There's not really any damage follow-up right now. TPs to come through.
Oh. Yeah, this is bad. They lost their top laner in bot lane, and now they get caught out in the river, 5 versus 4. I just said it, man. Pigs can fly if Orange Only fans do this. 5 versus 3. Dmuda's very low. Has to be careful he doesn't drop to the Baron. Now here comes the curtain call. This is the excellent part of the Sky Splitters comp is they have so much range. Ajuka almost drops, does drop. Hayasaka will find the kill, and Thrasher goes in onto everyone, and they clean house. Sky Splitters do not care. Guilty Free Soul is going to flash into melee range of the Vex, completely unfazed, chasing her into the brush, and will finish off that kill for the ace. That is how much stronger they are. And all the meanwhile, Phaser TP'd in. This is actually just going to be the game, Claire. What we thought could have been a comeback is going to turn into a playoff series victory for Sky Splitters, and moving on to the grand final where they will face the winner of Essence Thieves versus 8.
And deservedly so. Sky Splitters look so good, especially into this third map. It looked like they deserved it. Their bot lane popped off. Jungle popped off. Just overall, they look strong throughout the map, and I'm excited to see, and this next game is going to decide who the Sky Splitters teams play. So, I mean, we just got to wait and see, but Sky Splitters, everyone there, Hayasaka filling in, looked pretty strong and filled in a perfect position, even though, it does go to game 3, but, I mean, still showed up.
They still showed up, and shout out to Orange Only fans because this is, that's a good point to make. This is the end of their season. Thank you very much for the games that you put on for all of us, everyone who is watching, us casters who've enjoyed casting your games, and you made it a series. So very high head, hang your heads high, even though you do not advance. Sky Splitters, we will see you in the grand final. And now we can move on to the second playoff series of the playoffs, and that will be Essence Thieves versus Ape. We will bring you their first match after a very, very short break. And we have playoff series number 2 for you. And this series is going to start off at game number 2 because Ape did have to forfeit their first game in this series. And so Essence Thieves are going to kick us off already at a 1-0 game advantage. So we're on match point, and Essence Thieves in this game have the opportunity to put Ape away before or in one game. And this is Ape season on the line. So we're going to see if they can clutch up when it matters most. Their backs are against the wall, and Essence Thieves are looking to move themselves forward to the grand final where they will face the Sky Splitters. The winner of this series faces the Sky Splitters. The first 3 bans for Ape were also forfeited for this game. So those are already, those are going to be blank. But yeah, we have our second best of 3, although we're only going to see at most 2 games. Claire, what are we thinking for this series? We know Essence Thieves is a strong team. We know Ape is a strong team. Are we going to see another banger like we saw in the last series?
I'm not too sure. Obviously, Ape probably being a little bit of a wonky position, being a game late and only having 2 bans. So it is an interesting position, but I do think they can come back. They started to struggle during the later half of the season, but I mean, this is a new time. It's a new patch for all of these players, so I definitely think that they can come back and have a very strong couple of games here, potentially. But yeah, I mean, just getting into this one, we see the Caitlyn picked out. Maybe going towards that, just seeing what happens in the bot lane for Essence Thieves. But on the side of Ape, we're seeing Vigar set, which doesn't give us too many hints of where they're going. I would imagine Set's probably going top lane and Vigar going mid, but I mean, you just never know.
You never know, and okay, I'm really surprised. And what I'm surprised about is the fact that Ape lost, so they lost their first 3 bans, and normally the auto bans against Essence Thieves are at the very least the Katarina, because Sinja is a Katarina player, or at least a very good Katarina player. A lot of people don't like to play against his cat, so they ban it away. The fact that Ape weren't able to do that, and Essence Thieves still didn't opt in to just picking that right away, maybe they're fearful of a counter pick. That would make sense. They're actually not going to ban the Katarina at all, so maybe Ape has something cooked up for it. They do take away the Akali. Essence Thieves secure a very strong bot lane duo in the Caitlyn Lux. Camille was the pick actually into the set, which is a bit scary, but will win if it can get out of the lane phase. The response is going to be what could be, we don't see the bot laner yet unless it's another Vigar bot, Claire.
It could be. I feel like it's going mainly towards the mid lane, but a Morgana comes through, which is very interesting to see. Morgana being able to be played a little bit better with the new items to come through, but the Katarina also being able to be picked. And this is just a bunch of extreme comfort picks for the Essence Thieves team, which has got to be pretty scary for this Ape team. But instead, the Katarina not being locked in, it's gonna be the Yone, rather. And, I mean, what do you expect into this game? I have no idea.
Okay, well, here is the thing. And the thing that I'm thinking of is Garen Amumu Nautilus set. 4 champions that want to either run or pull in a straight line, and they have to do that against a Morgana who has a spell shield, a Lux who has a bind, and a Caitlyn who has long range and a 90 caliber net to slam right into your face. I am going to confidently say that although there's a lack of frontline on Essence Thieves' side, if they play it properly, they have hard won the draft here, unless they mess up and they let Amumu find a Curse of the Sad Mummy from hell onto 5 people. Set jumps into 5 people. Nautilus gets a hook where Morgana doesn't have a spell shield. I really like the Essence Thieves comp, and I think they have a massive advantage just matchup wise when it comes to maybe not necessarily the lanes, but the later fights and the way that this game can play out with these champions.
Yeah, but I mean, we're seeing a lot of these teams just group up, seeing if we can get a level 1 engage to come through. I mean, I'm not too sure. It's possible. Sinja needs to watch out. You can't step up too far after a big trench line. Oh, it's not going to follow up anymore, but I mean, it was cool.
It was cool, and it's actually a very good play from Ape because they trade Flash for Flash. Now, Revenger doesn't have Hex Flash, so it is a bit more detrimental to the Nautilus, especially when you are playing against a Lux Caitlyn bot lane. You can't flash a bind, which might put you into the death realm. The Nautilus has to play a lot more careful. However, Sinja as well in the mid lane has to play a little bit more cautious against Kizak's set as well. So some trade-offs there for both teams in that exchange. They did want to find the kill, but they didn't have the CC lockdown to prevent Sinja from just flashing away from that play. So it's a trade for flashes. Support for mid lane as now the lane phase begins, and we get into it. Also a Morgana jungle for Hero Joe. And Joe does like to play like unique stuff. I've played a few in-houses with Joe where he's playing Mordekaiser jungle, these types of things. So he likes to play the odd stuff. So if there's anyone who I'm confident can pull off a pick like this, it's definitely Hero Joe. We'll see how well he does it in this game.
I'm excited to see how well this just Morgana can be played. We were talking about the Blackfire Torch and then like the Leandry, so that double burn, probably a similar build as we saw the Hui was building earlier, but just in the jungle. But yeah, Smoke is just getting in there. Munchman needing to back off. That Garen is upset and just wanting to cut your head off, but not going to deal too much damage. You got to watch
Oh, here
out.
comes Key though. Flash, Mr. Miyagi, or not Mr. Miyagi, Munchman. Sorry, I got them mixed up. Doesn't have Flash. Opted in to take the Ignite in this lane, so can't get away from the bandage toss unless you sidestep it properly. That's going to be first blood for Ape. Excellent punish from Key in the top lane.
Yeah, and I'm shocked that hit from Key. I guess just the way that the rift is made, it looked a little bit off, but it secures. It gets the kill. Munchman goes down, and that's the first blood. It does go over to the jungler, so it's gonna be, I guess, a little bit less impactful for Munchman, but it's still gonna terrorize all the players around the rift, and we are seeing this Veigar, which is like we saw it a little bit earlier. It didn't quite get online, but potentially Killshot can make that happen. Can finally get the Veigar online, get it scaled up, and get it ready for action. But only with 13 CS, it's seeming that it's gonna be a slow start.
Definitely going to be a slow start. And the Bind Sisters team comp. Oh, here we go. There's the trap that's going to be combined. This might just be a kill here. Mr. Miyagi doesn't quite have the damage. And now here comes Key to get involved in the play as well. Talia going to use the flash to get away, but Amumu now has that second bandage toss, can maintain that gap and get that kill there. Excellent gank to prevent the Veigar from falling. Kizak forced to use the flash to move away from Sinja's Q3. Hero Joe going to pursue though, get the kill onto Kizak. Gonna miss the bind. The pool will deal enough to finish it off. Plus, that auto attack, and now Key, you've bandage tossed yourself into a 2 versus 1, and there is no one in your immediate area to help you out, but the Scuttle Crab movement speed helping out to dodge away from Hero Joe's dark binding, which would have definitely meant Key was going to die. So good sidestep there, makes it just a 1 for 0 in the mid lane for the Essence Thieves. As wait, hold on a second, Munchman looking for a solo kill, smoke shield, able to mitigate that last bit of damage on the Q2, which might have finished it off. Seeing lots of action in all three lanes so far, only 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I'm just most interested about this Morgana personally because we don't see Morgana a lot. She's a very old champion, but I think in the jungle is where she could shine the most, especially with this new item. You just got to hit those dark bindings. You got to hit really just all of your skill shots to gain some value. But I mean, it could be pretty interesting. You have that spell shield that you could put on Sinja for some engages, or you could put onto Munchman. So I think it's could bring some utility to your team. Could really open up a lot of abilities, especially since how much CC Ape has, right?
Yeah, and we're going to see another gank from Hero Joe in the mid lane. Kizak does have reinforcements. The bandage toss will miss. The face breaker will land. Hero Joe lands the dark binding. Second bandage toss lands as well. Sinja's now hit level 6. Does have access to the fate sealed. Gets that first Q onto Key, who's now running for the hills. Seeing that Yone's level 6, it could pose problems, although they are both very low, so maybe it won't. The Key is still here, spots Hero Joe on the sweeper, and lands the bandage toss over the wall. Hero Joe going to put up that black shield, which will give him a magic damage shield. Sinja now going to try and find the damage here, going to pull back on the spirit, and Key stays here in the mid lane. We're getting teased. It's like all of these people are so low right now in the mid lane, and they're so close to dropping, but yet they both stay alive. All 4 of them do. And things are very tense in the mid lane. It seems, at the very least, Joe is trying to focus the mid lane the most, has put all his attention into Sinja, and he is sort of recognizing this and saying, okay, I need to help out my mid laner now because the camp is real there in the mid lane.
Yeah, just making sure to look around. I mean, Sinja versus Kizak, just going in. I feel like you're losing this trade quite a bit.
It depends on the haymaker, and Kizak's going to miss. No flash. This is a Yone win all day long. Kizak gonna take a bad 1 versus 1 there in the mid lane, and that's gonna be a first kill on the board for Sinja's Yone.
The idea was there. The all-in, though, is just maybe a little bit too much for the moment, but I mean, it is gonna be okay. You know, you're only down 2 kills in mid lane. You're still up some CS. You should be all good. You're opting to go back.
Oh, Sinja could be in trouble. Bandage toss will land, and this should just be an ultimate.
Nice.
Ooh, the flash goes through as well, so they get the icing on the cake, which is the Yone flash on top of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to see. And shutting down this Yone early is just how you're gonna have to deal with him. I think Kizak and
Here we go. Yeah, Talia now got hit with that dredge line, at least I believe, and it's combined with the cage, but Killshot has to be careful. Mr. Miyagi's full HP, but wow, that Caitlyn disappeared. The ultimate came through, the execute came through, and the Vigar is on the board with the first kill. Hero Joe now, nice binding over the wall, not enough damage to finish off Nautilus, and it seems that with every play that Joe tries to make, that Key is also here making plays as well. I think Key's been jungling quite nicely and has had lots of presence on the map thus far in the game.
yeah, Kiza, or not Key. There's too many keys in this team.
I know.
But Key has been everywhere, absolutely having so much impact on the map. We saw in top lane and mid lane, you know, there in the bot lane, but you might be...
Wait, Joe is actually hacking. Did he even have vision there? That is insane. What did we just witness? Okay. Claire, was there a ward in that brush? Like, did you see what just happened right there?
I don't think there was.
Oh my gosh, that dark binding, he just put it on himself right as the dredge line came through the bush. Like, that was insane, but we see a 1v1 Sinja. Oh, so close to finding that last bit of damage, but Key joins in with the bandage toss and the second one lands. My goodness, that second bandage toss has to be the most tilting thing for SNCs. They've all been hit by that. They think they're out, but then the next one comes through and Key is able to close the gap. So yeah, this Amumu's everywhere on the map. You never know where he's going to show up next, and Key is continuing to make plays for Ape, keeping them in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big creator. Oh, that's pretty rough. The flash has to go through. Your Kaelin's just in a rough position, tanking the turret shots as well. Maybe if you can land a binding, you're just needing a position to stop that from going through. What can you do? It's just not going to be enough. At least it says sacrifice Mr. Miyagi to live. Maybe to farm a couple of minions in memorial of Talia. So it's doable, maybe.
Well, Killshot and Revenger are finding lots of success in this bot lane. They're outranged, but they continue to find the hooks, and you combine it with Cage as well to apply lots of CC, and also Key's been down there a few times to help him out as well. So right now, Ape is in a commanding lead for the moment, 2.5k ahead. But you have to think about the Camille late game. You have to think about how much impact Joe can have on this Morgana versus 4 melee champions and 1 mage who is very low range. Think about a Morgana ultimate with a black shield in the middle of 4 people. There's lots of room to play for SNCs, but for the moment they're on the back foot. We look at the neutral objectives here. We have 3 grubs for Ape. Infernal Dragon, first Drake of the game, still yet to be taken by either of these teams. So taking the less aggressive route when it comes to the neutral objectives, not going to threaten a stole at any early stage, or at least at that early 22-23 minute mark. Although the play right now for SNCs, and Joe might be thinking about it, is to deny those 6 grubs away from Ape.
Just wanted to get them off, but Key is back.
Oh, wow. Getting very involved. Wanted to go straight for the grubs and take as many away as possible, and actually did secure 4 of them, so they will have Void Mites. The rest of the squad is here. There is going to be the showstopper from Kizak, but it actually brings Joe to safety, and the shutdown was found from Joe as well. Now Smoke trying to get anything if he can. The Dark Binding does land. Talia will land a binding of her own. Smoke is not allowed to move for the next 5 seconds, but he will not die. Sinja could be looking for a 1v1 against Kizak. Uses the Spirit. Will get that a little bit of extra damage, but now Revenger is here to join the party. The Fate Sealed actually cancels the CC from the depth charge, but it won't be enough. Revenger will kill Sinja, who got aggressive when the Nautilus was in the brush. Now we see Smoke trading heavily onto Munchman. And at the end of the day, Ape loses the bounty on the Amumu, but they do give away, or they do get the 4 grubs.
They get the 4 grubs, they find 2 kills of their own. This Vigar scaling, we just see that he's at 112 stacks, or like around that at the time, so it is about 10 stacks per minute, which is pretty solid for that Vigar. I mean, that's the kind of the quota you want to hit. Anything more is absolutely perfect for you. And it's seeming that Ape is running away with this game a little bit. They scale pretty hard. I mean, so does this Essence Thieves team, but I mean, if they start scaling too much faster than Essence Thieves, then it's a little bit over. But, I mean, they still have ways to get back into this game. I feel like this Lux is going to fall off a little bit. But, I mean, Munchman is just being abused in that top lane.
And we also saw a TP behind. Kizak used the teleport in the brush that had a ward, is going to jump onto Sinja. In the bot lane as well, Joe's looking for a play, going to use the Black Shield on himself. He's going to try and kill Killshot, who does not have flash, and he will grab that kill. But Key's involved in this play as well. Mr. Miyagi will flash away from the bandage toss, and the Curse of the Sad Mummy will not land onto the 80 carry of Essence Thieves. And look who's joined the party as well. Sinja, who got chased down the river by Kizak, said, hey, my team's fighting down here. Thank you for chasing me this way, and I will get myself a kill for my team. And so Essence Thieves, they make the winning play on the bot side. They're going to get the Infernal Drake, and the teleport here from well, who's teleporting there? Oh, it looks like it's Sinja is able to catch the wave as well, but we're also going to see a 1 versus 1. I'm so sorry, I was looking at the mini map, but Smoke gets that ultimate down and will get that turret as well, finding the solo kill onto Munchman and going to successfully win out in that play. But now Sinja has stepped too far forward. Killshot will get the kill shot with the ultimate and put the Yone away, as well as that tier 1 turret. Joe gonna try and pursue them further. The Dark Binding misses, and Killshot needs to get out of town. It's almost like, despite SNCs doing their very best to make these plays happen, Ape stays in the lead. 5,000 now at the 14-minute mark.
It's like, I mean, Essence Thieves looks like they're doing a lot of correct plays, but it's just being thwarted by this Ape team. It's not looking good. This Vigar's getting really strong so far. They also have, I mean, First Strike, so you're going to be building some more items extremely quickly. You're just going to be building more gold. Then that Caitlyn and a lot of the other players just on the Rift. And it looks like they're going for a little bit of a cheese strategy against
hook on to Hero Joe. Black Shield is up and then immediately dropped because... Wait, Killshot just stacked the blue before getting the kill. That was insane. Killshot knew that Morgana was dead and just said, okay, I want this blue. You guys can go kill him. I saw that. That was funny. But good play from Ape. They know they're ahead. They know they can make these plays. They saw Joe was there. Joe was vulnerable, and they took the opportunity, found the kill, and they continue to build their lead. They did lose game 1 to a forfeit, but they're not going to let that get to their heads. They are fighting for their spot here in this series. In this league, they do not want to go down without a fight, similar to the way Orange OnlyFans did it in the previous series.
Yeah, it's looking a bit rough. I mean, they're 6k gold down at 15 minutes. A lot of standing gold for them, though. You know, some turrets to gain. They do have one of the dragons, so I mean that's a good sign. But it's very difficult for them to get and engage into these fights when they're just so much weaker at this stage in the game. But we've seen worse positions for a lot of these teams. Maybe they can continue to farm, get their items built up, you know, make something happen. They have a Yone, they have a Camille, so their engage isn't the worst thing in the world, but they might be being a bit too over-eager here. And could definitely overstep their boundaries and maybe give Essence Thieves a way back into this game.
We could. The Rift Herald didn't look like it got a charge onto that tier 2 tower. Not sure how that worked, but it does save the tower and the bot side for Essence Thieves for the moment. This is 4 people here. Sinja is split pushing in the top side of the map, and Ape has not been able to find a play. So they're going to port home to try and stop the split push here. Objective bounties are on these towers for Essence Thieves, so if Sinja gets this, it will be a little bit of team gold put into his back pocket. and that is going to be successfully taken by the Essence Thieves mid laner. So they need to keep denying the plays from Ape. They need to try and get as many of these objective bounties as they can and try and find one fight to turn this game around. That's usually how we see it happen here at Odyssey. It's one fight, one big mistake from the team that's ahead that flips the script and gives us a banger of a game. So that's what Essence Thieves needs to look for.
It's a lot to ask for. You know, it's unlikely for you to find that, especially, I mean, Ape is very, they don't make a lot of mistakes, especially if they're this far up. They're very disciplined in what they're doing, but I mean, it's still possible. They're playing a lot of champions that can definitely overstep. I mean, a Mumu, a bad engage, and then you're kind of dead. If you catch Vigar out, you know, they're dead. So there are definitely ways that they can make that happen. I mean, we're seeing that Vigar is a lot of their main DPS for sure. So, I mean, that's a big target for them to find. But, I mean, the people that need to find them is that Camille, is that Yone. And if Vigar's playing in the back, you need to get through so many people there before you can get onto that Vigar. A lot to ask, but, I mean, if the right situation comes up, you gotta seize that opportunity.
You do indeed. And 20 seconds to go. This is only the second Drake of the game. At 18 minutes, the theme of these games we've seen so far today has been early dragons. Not this time around. So, and especially because Essence Thieves did take the first one, they might just say, to hell with this, and I don't blame them. We're not going to see a contest for this. Hero Joe's on the opposite side of the map anyways, and I like this play from them. Put Sinja in a side lane, try and get him as much solo XP and gold as you can. Same thing with your Camille. You guys are a team that scales nicely, although there is scaling with the Vigar. It's less of a DPS role and more of a burst role, so there's room to outplay. The name of the game for Essence Thieves is just to turtle and to try and stall and to try and get themselves into a better game state, because the game state they're in right now is not one that they want to be in for much longer. So continue to stall, continue to prevent them from sieging onto your towers. Give them a few drakes if you want. That's fine. They haven't been taking many of those just yet. Soul is nowhere near to coming through. And we'll see how well Essence Thieves can play this game and what they want to do to bring themselves back into it.
Yeah, curious to see like how they go about this. We are seeing Baron come up. We just saw Drake. They opt not to fight that. They're just, you know, trying their best to scale up, get that second power spike of the, you know, those second items. But yeah, it just is slowly seeing this, and he goes in and
Talia's been picked inside the jungle looking for wards. This is the problem you run into when you're behind like this. You want to try and make sure they're not on the Baron, and as a support, especially a support who's squishy, you can't really check the fog of war without running the risk of yourself dying. And now with that one person pick, they're looking to take the Baron.
Yeah, the Baron to go down, it's only gonna make their lead even further, and it's way harder for them to get back into this game. And Revenger is looking for any play that can make happen, looking for those hooks, especially if it comes with the flash, and that isn't even a Hex Blast, that's just the regular flash, being very confident on the Nautilus at this stage in the game. But it's, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Your AK gold up, you just got the Baron, you really can't make a mistake at this point in the game.
No, you cannot. Well, they're going to look for a fight. And that was an interesting combination. Fate Sealed and then Black Shield from Joe onto Sinja, so immediate CC couldn't come through. There is a root that has landed, and that's Killshot, who's dead, and was able to trade it back. But this is a worth trade if you are Essence Thieves. That is a key target on Ape's team that you want to take out. So they need more of those picks. Talia sacrifices her life for the greater good of the squad and finds that main carry here for Ape. And they can comfortably defend these towers now with that Vigar dead. I'm not sure how well they're going to be able to defend the bot tower, which is hanging on very low HP. But they bought themselves some time, and time is your friend if you are Essence Thieves. But look at Key waiting in this brush, going to be forced out by Joe. They're just trying to find any fights that they can with the vision that they have.
Yeah, it's just needing to invest so much into these fights. We're seeing Smoke gain the respect of, 3 members that have to deal with it, especially with this Baron buff. It's not easy to defend against all of these minions and this pressure from these champions just, running at you. But, I mean, they're slowly dealing with it. Next Dragon's up in a minute and 25 seconds.
Sinja needs to be careful. Does flash away, tries to use the Fate Sealed, or the Fate Sealed, but you are in a stationary position and ready for the Bandage Toss to finish you off. So Sinja gets too aggressive in the side lane. Wasn't aware of where he was. I don't even think he won that 1v1 in anyway, so this is a pretty detrimental mistake from the Essence Thieves mid laner. It's going to lead to the bot lane tower being destroyed. It's going to lead to the siege continuing in the bot side to the inhibitor tower that's now going to be chunked to half from the demolished proc of Smoke's Garen. Kizak applying more pressure, 1v1 against Munchman. Very comfortable there. Kill shot and Revenger taking down the tier 2, and now the pressure really mounts for 8.
Just knocking down all of these towers. The dragon is going to come up. Kizak is absolutely frying Munchman in the top lane. And Killshot.
Oh my goodness.
The kill, but maybe the Caitlyn? Nope, it's not going to find. But Syndra's
looking
going
for the
in.
shutdown. So much CC, can't find it. Killshot survives. And that is so tilting for Essence Thieves. You finally feel like you have another opportunity to get him, but you just can't, and it's so close. But Sinja dies and then comes back from death to look for a great opportunity, and then it's just right in front of him, but he can't quite grab it. These are tilting moments, and this game is very, very, very much slipping out of the Essence Thieves' hands. So if we do go to a game 3, which it's looking like we will, it will be on Essence Thieves to bounce back after a pretty frustrating game.
Yeah. It's a rough position here. I mean, you aren't being able to find anything. You're getting a lot of damage. You're getting a lot of pressure onto 8, but it's just not enough. There's just too many tanky players on this team that you just don't have the damage to cut through very easily. It's a very rough position. You're kind of just waiting for Ape to make a move, and you kind of need to respond to it. But
Yeah, Smoke is just winning this 1v1. It actually is going to be a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane, and that's a shutdown for Mr. Miyagi. So Sinja trading his life for the greater good, similar to the way Talia did it earlier in mid lane. It's going to be, you're going to need a bunch of those if you're Essence Thieves, but at the very least, it's a start.
It is a start in their favor, and it's looking still pretty rough into this game. I mean, you do see Baron up in a minute and 20 seconds. They don't have any vision near that. You do see the scuttle vision, but that's going to fade in a little bit. Needing to get some wards up there if possible, or keep that wave pushed up to that second tower. So it's needing a lot to ask for them to continue to keep that vision, but it's something that needs to come through. It's a task at hand. It's something that could be feasible to accomplish. And maybe, they find a pick beforehand. They make this doable, but Hero Joe might be the pick.
Trying to safely do his blue buff, and with that black shield, avoids the dredge line and the depth charge as well. So able to comfortably get out of that situation, can hide behind the terrain there in case another dredge line comes through. If you are Essence Thieves, okay, you've cleared some vision, but now you guys got to get the hell out of here, because one bandage toss is just going to be it for you guys. We've seen this before. They are very far ahead of you. It is an 11,000 gold lead. Kizak is behind them on a flank. Now, is he caught out, or is he going to complete a successful flank? Hero Joe's been hit by a bandage toss, and Key will get hit with a dark binding, and the second one will not land. Kizak now, with the showstopper, is going to bring Hero Joe into the middle of the team, tries to use Flash to buy himself some space, and will do so for the meantime, and is able to buy enough time for a shutdown to come through for Mr. Miyagi. Make that 2 kills now. Now Sinja's doing lots of work here. Talia finishes off kill shot, but in the meanwhile, Smoke took down an inhibitor in the bot side, so it is a double-edged sword here for Essence Thieves, they commit to the fight, but they lose their inhib, but they get lots of bounty money onto their carries.
They do. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, that's just not what you want to see, Talia. Needing to burn the flash, but you do live. You survive for just a little bit longer as Smoke continues to push that mid wave, rotating back over towards the Baron and this topside jungle, just needing to clear it out. What is your plan? You want to farm this wave, I'm sure, if you're Smoke. First, you want to get Gromp. But, I mean, all of these players, I mean, Ape just never wants to stop fighting. They want to continue looking for these picks. They know they're stronger. They don't really care. Kizak might just go in here, quite frankly.
Could have decided, well, let's play with my team and maybe get the Baron. That's definitely something that they have control of at the moment. They're going to clear away some vision. They're going to look to probably just start it up or wait. They'll wait for a little bit, maybe then decide to turn onto it. What is SNC going to do in this situation? They're going to check. They're going to check with the ultimate of Lux. They're also going to use a Farsight ward, and now they know that the Baron is being started, so they're going to step into the river here. Dark Binding doesn't land. They have lots of damage with Vigar, and they also kind of have a second smite with Vigar as well. There's simply no chance for Essence Thieves to get inside the river there, get inside the pit, and find a steal of any kind. That will be the secure. They want to find the fight afterwards. Sinja's going to flash forward, but probably be met with 10 trillion damage and a one-shot, but they are able to get at least one. They get Revenger, and the play does continue. Hero Joe finds two, but that's a very big Curse of the Sad Mummy onto multiple members of Ape, and that will be the triple kill for Killshot's Vigar. And he truly, I saw someone in chat say that Killshot's Vigar is very formidable and definitely living up to that title. And I think this is going to be wraps here for Essence Thieves, and it was going to bring the Game 2 victory for Ape.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit over. Ape has been in the driver's seat of this game for so long. Getting that Baron kind of secures it. I mean, Essence Thieves trying to fight after that Baron, but there's just not enough damage for this team. Everyone is just too tanky. The base is going to go down. These Nexus turrets going to go down. People are respawning, so they might have another fight, but I think it's just too little too late. The Nexus goes down, and Ape, even though they had to FF that first map, they're here in the second one, and they're looking super strong in these playoffs.
They're looking super strong, and they find their first win, and we will go to a game number 3, our second game number 3 of the day. All of our playoff matches going the distance, even despite some technicalities. And very soon, after a very speedy break, we will bring you the final match of the stream, and we will find out who will face Sky Splitters in our grand final next week. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the final game of the day. We've had one best of 3 happen already, and this is our second. If you're just joining us now, it's SNCs versus Ape. The winner of this series will face the Sky Splitters in the grand final next week. We're knotted up 1 game at piece. This is game number 3. SNCs, with their loss in the previous game, had side selection, and they chose the red side this time around. And Ape has all 5 of their ban slots now. They do not have to forfeit their first 3, and so we are seeing an Ape at full strength this time here in the draft phase, Claire.
Yeah, it's time that we just, get into here, get these bans, everyone having all 5 of their bans to come through. You can see Essence Thieves realizing, where they might have gone wrong last time, banning out the Amumu, the Nautilus. But Ape, that went very well. They know what their players like to play. Getting the Karthus, getting that Lux, getting that Akali out of here. So, all good stuff on these bans.
Taking away the Nautilus, taking away the Amumu are the Essence Thieves, the 2 champions that they have handpicked out of the previous game that they do not want to place again. They're trolling Sinja a little bit. They're hovering the Katarina. And is this something that they're going to want to look for? There must be some type of scary counter pick if they were wanting to avoid this comfort pick for the Essence Thieves, and they're not going to go for it. They're going to go for the Misfortune. They're hovering the Skarner right now. Alia's Lux was banned away, and Ape staying true to the Akali ban as well. And Skarner will be locked in, a very strong champion ever since the rework that Skarner desperately needed a few patches ago. This champion has been very powerful, but we are going to see what I'm certain to be kill shots of Vigar once again.
Yes, we are. I'm surprised that was not one of the first 3 bans to come out of Essence Thieves, but they prioritize just the hooked champions, but it is not going to stop them. They still have the Leona to play around with, but what does Essence Thieves choose to respond to that? Do they want to go the MF Seraphine? And that is exactly what we're going to see. And it's definitely possible to compete with that. It's not going to scale nearly as hard as that Vigar, but it still could leave quite the issue for earlier into the game. It could make it quite a bit more difficult for...
I think the idea behind the Seraphine pick is to combine the Encore and the bullet time as, you can all imagine a dream scenario with those 2 abilities. So that's exactly what SNCs are looking for. And I also want to talk about, as that's a very interesting pick, the Vayne top is what it looks like into the set. And Skarner as well, now that he has the ability to pull multiple people with his ultimate, imagine 3 people being pulled and Misfortune casting bullet time, Skarner just has to stand still or at least pull those people into that ultimate to deal lots of damage. So again, building a composition around Misfortune. Sky Splitters last series did that in their first match against Oran's OnlyFans, and they found success. I'm seeing a lot of things formulate as I'm rambling on. The Vayne, it looks like this is actually going to be a set mid again. We saw a set mid last game. I'm not sure why I thought the set was randomly going to go top lane this time. Vayne top is picked blind, and Nasus is going to be their counter. The Wither is going to be a massive problem for Vayne.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we do see a lot of Vayne top just being able to counter a lot of these just melee champions, but Nasus is a very difficult spot for, or a difficult champion for Vayne to verse. And Brand, we also see just Hero Joe enjoying to hop onto those AP junglers, and, or at least I would assume it's Brand jungle, but the Skarner would have to go, it's Brand mid, and my apologies. We're seeing Hero Joe onto the Skarner, so not what I was expecting at all, because we really never see Sinja on a mage like this.
Yeah, Sinja is someone who likes to play the assassin carries, but I've also seen him play a mage quite effectively before. Brand in particular. So Sinja does know how to pilot this champion. So maybe not as comfortable as some of his others, but definitely something he does know how to play. Hero Joe also does have a mean Skarner as well.
Oh no.
Seen him pick it a few times. Now a little bit in trouble as he spots out Kizak and Smoke inside of the river, but no summoner spells needed to be burned. It's just a trade in damage. I think the big question of this game, two big questions for Ape. Can your Nasus effectively counter this Vayne, who actually took Cleanse Ghost? No meme, guys. The Wither is so annoying for Vayne that Cleanse Ghost is going to be the choice here. So a flashless Vayne, I mean, gosh, that is a lose-lose in my opinion. It's like, okay, you take Cleanse, but great, you have no flash ever in this game, which sucks. The next thing for Ape is, can Killshot find the same level of success he found in game number 2? That is also the question. And I mean, he was so impactful for this team in that last game that if they're able to replicate that success, I don't see why Ape won't be moving on and winning game number 3.
Yeah, it's just a lot of what ifs at the moment. We're just needing to wait and see what happens. His bot lane is where a lot of things went a bit wrong. So letting and allowing Killshot to just stack and farm so early was a pretty large reason as to why Ape got so strong so fast, and just needing to slow that down if possible. But I'm seeing the stacking. I don't think it's going super well at the moment, but it's gonna have to be starting to pick up here. But yeah, I mean, Sinja is just getting some great poke onto this set so far, and we also just gotta be looking around all of this map. Sinja is just, wanting to poke Kizak out, and some great stuns here, but needing to watch out. This Wukong is positioning around mid, and is going to run into the Skarner for some duels here.
Gonna find Hero Joe in the river, who Joe is actually going to flash on Key and try and push him into the wall, but Joe, you do not win this 1 versus 1. Sinja can't quite get to you in time, and the aggressive play is punished. Key stands his ground and wins the 1v1 for first blood, and that is a great start for Ape in game number 3. This clinching game, whoever wins it does move on, and they are starting it off with a bang.
Yes, they are. Wukong getting on the board. Hero Joe a bit too confident there, but it's all good. You're back. It's only first blood, not to worry about that.
He's not getting very low, and so is Smoke in the top side. You have to be careful. This lane for Nasus is difficult pre-6, your first few, like your first bit of items, your first components. Like right now, the Nasus is going to suffer. However, once the threat of the Wukong builds and Smoke's armor builds up, he might get a Frozen Heart, these types of things. It's going to be so hard for Vayne to play in this lane. Now Key, who did secure that Scuttle Crab, wants to pick another fight with Joe, who does not have flash. Sinja and Kizak both wanting to get involved in this play, but Sinja can't quite get involved for the moment, now does, and is going to find the damage to finish off the kill. It's actually Joe that's going to get the kill credit, so we have a trade. Last time it was Key grabbing the kill. This time it's Joe winning the jungle warfare here. And 1-for-1 is now the kill score. Kizak will pull in Sinja, going to look for a Haymaker, which is going to land but not deal a lot of damage. And now we see it engage in the bot side as well. Cage goes down, so Mr. Miyagi's caught in this area, does get stunned up, did not want to use the flash, and Killshot is going to find the first kill of the game. So one of the massive win conditions of Ape is already online before 5 minutes.
And now what you want to see, Munchman dealing so much damage to Smoke. We were talking about how just rough that Nasus feels to play before you get any priority, and you can obviously be seen Munchman is having a very easy time into this top lane at the moment. Hero Joe coming in for a gank. This could absolutely work, and it does. It works wonders for this team, and this top lane is online. Even though the bot lane is struggling, the cross map is working in their favor just a little bit.
It absolutely is, and right now, Munchman, along with the help of Hero Joe, is using his window of opportunity to be very oppressive well. He has a 20 CS lead. He's got the kill from the gank as well. It didn't go to Skarner. So you want to build up as much of a lead as you possibly can before this matchup starts to get really, really hard for you. And that is the best thing that they can really hope for, because the bot lane looks good right now for Ape. I'm not sure if we're in for a close game at this point, as Key went for what looks like an invade. Is going to have to use flash, but you're not really out of the woods just yet. Now you are, with the backup of your bot lane. Revenger has gone in with the Zenith Blade and now has to hightail it out of here. Does have flash, so should be okay. The double up hits through and lands onto kill shot. Some priority earned for Essence Thieves in the bot side. Hextech Drake is alive. They could look for this if they wanted. Sinja maintains priority in the mid lane, is going to use that bouncing fireball to deal a lot of damage here, as Munchman has now hit level 6. Oh, I don't think the Condemn needed to be used. Level 5 to level 6. Munchman could have just all-in right there, but not going to do so. It's a close game so far, 7 minutes in.
Yeah, extremely close. And, I mean, that's what you want to see. Sinja just a bit too far there. You are having a very nice time on this brand, just being able to out-farm and farm pretty safe against this set, so I'm sure Sinja's having a very easy time into this mid lane. We haven't really seen Wukong path near mid, so Sinja's been having a pretty safe time, not really too concerned about that. We are seeing this dragon to come up, so priority in mid is super important at the moment, but a good stun to come through.
Here comes the showstopper, and now Sinja's in some trouble. The flash from Kizak doesn't land the sweet spot of the Haymaker, but still has enough damage to finish off the kill anyways. A solo kill for Kizak inside of the mid lane, getting revenge from the previous game when Sinja found the solo kill. Hero Joe trying to get involved in the bot side, going to use that 100-meter sprint to get a little bit closer to kill shot, but they're going to be safe in the end. Hero Joe does not have the ultimate, going to trap some people inside of the cage, trying to focus a lot of his damage onto the squishy members of this Essence Thieves bot lane. Revenger now, remember, no flash from the previous play, step too far forward, and Mr. Miyagi finds the kill. Talia still drops, even with the barrier usage, and now Hero Joe wants to flash to make the play onto the wall, but an excellent use of the cage. Have you ever seen a better Vigar? Oh, but unfortunately, with the double up damage, does end up dying in the end and will miss these minions, but my goodness, Killshot is having himself quite the game with those plays. Now 3-1 on the Vigar.
Killshot showing exactly how you play Vigar, really just giving everybody a tutorial, knowing the limits of the character so well. And, I mean, it's going to just be scaled so fast, right? I mean, that was 15, or that was a lot of stacks right there, just based off of those kills and off of that CS. So the scaling is going swimmingly for Vigar, needing to get some bot prio as those kills went down. Maybe trying to get this dragon up here at some point. I mean, last game, the dragon came up, or was taken at like 11 minutes, so it's...
Sinja forced to use flash. Key came in with the Cyclone. He gets some damage traded back at the very least. Hero Joe flying into the mid lane, not able to find any crowd control to pull off a successful gank, but just showing his presence, making his presence known. And Munchman continues to have success in the top side. I do want to criticize the build here from Smoke. The rushed cooldown boots are not going to be as effective into the Vayne as maybe a rushed plated steel caps would be, where in that situation, Vayne would really struggle to deal damage to you. But for the moment, the fleet footwork healing is enough, and the Nasus, although down a lot of CS, isn't getting killed at the very least.
Yeah, not getting killed at the moment's kind of tanky for the Vayne. It's just not being able to get any damage off, but the Vayne is having a very nice time being able to farm, but that's not the focus. The fights come through with so much damage from the bullet time.
And that's what you want when you draft MF, is a play like that. That is the dream scenario. Now, Killshot with no flash is going to kill Joe with the ultimate, but that was quite the play for Essence Thieves, and they did get the dragon on top of it. So everything they could have hoped for in that play came to fruition. They did lose Joe to Killshot, but they'll take it.
They will. A massive fight in their favor, especially when it was looking like that bot lane was, looking all up Killshot. A massive turnaround. So many kills gone over for Mr. Miyagi. The Collector online, the Swifties online as the back goes through. And, I mean, I gotta think, right? This brand has got to be extremely strong. We saw last game, we saw the Morgana be, they couldn't deal with a lot of the tankiness of the champs from Ape, but I feel like the brand just has a lot more damage in the kit, so I think that can be a lot more useful, and I'm glad we see that switch up here.
And now the Misfortune's back into the game. 3 kills for her. The one problem I am noticing right now for Essence Thieves is how behind Joe is in the jungle. Down double CS as we see a 1 versus 1 in the mid lane. Sinja no flash. Kizak kind of stat checking him here. Although Sinja has Ghost and will be able to run away from this without losing his life. Although did lose in that 1 versus 1. And you know what? Smoke is actually sustaining really well in this lane. So, I mean, it's the same thing I said earlier. Down a lot of CS to Vayne, who is going to scale and become very powerful later on. But at the very least, the Nasus isn't dying in the lane. Has Fleet Footwork to sustain himself. As you see Joe on the minimap, I'm looking towards the Grubs. Kizak's first to step up to this play. Looks like this might just be a 6 Grub situation right now for Ape. In the bot lane, Killshot taking so much damage from the bullet time, and Talia has enough to finish it off. And Revenger does not have flash. It's just coming off of cooldown. I think I can see on the spectator. And this is just going to be a 2 versus 2 victory here for the SNC's bot lane, unless Revenger can pull off some last second heroics with the Ignite, and his damage can't quite do it. SNC's bot lane coming out on top. Now a teleport coming through from Killshot. It's going to force them away into a reset.
And this bot lane has completely turned around from a more ape-focused bot lane to Mr. Miyagi hitting some massive bullet times to turn around these fights, and that's exactly what you need.
Oh, Killshot does have flash. So actually now that he's pathing into the alcove, might not be able to outplay this one anymore. Won't have the means to get away from the Skarner, but Sinja on the other side for SNCs is also in trouble. Hero Joe gonna push him right into the wall. It's going to be a trade of kills in mid lane and bot lane.
Raids go through. It's Killshot to go down, and I feel like Killshot's just been gray screen for like half of the last 4 minutes, and not what you want to see. But Mr. Miyagi, this is where Smoke gets that power spike. You gotta watch out. You can't kite for that much longer, and you're just gonna go down. Smoke on the board, and this is where this top lane matchup might, switch around. You were talking about how the item spikes, the ultimate spikes, the power spikes for this Nasus, and that's scary for Munchman.
Yeah, and Cleanse wasn't used. Like Munchman, I mean, unless Cleanse, and I wasn't paying that much attention to the summoner spells in the corner, but it looked like Munchman has Cleanse up and available, so didn't end up using it unless it was on cooldown just as that play was happening and just came off. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't even... I was thinking like the way Nasus should play this is just build armor and like build like a Frozen Heart or something with a Sheen, but he's just going straight Glass Cannon and just running at the Vayne and doing his thing. So Smoke is having a grand old time. He's down 30 CS, but then that's not going to matter in a few minutes. Now has a fully completed Trinity Force, and Nasus is going to feel really, really good, stacking up very nicely. And things are looking up, at least for the top side right now, of Ape. There is a 4-1 Misfortune to deal with, but I think as long as Ape can avoid another massive bullet time combination situation, the Misfortune, even when she has a lot of kills, doesn't thrive as well as your typical AD carry. She needs that bullet time, that dream wombo combo to happen to really be effective. So, and that might be where Munchman fills the gap. So a lot of things to think about as we head into this mid game. We do see a fight now starting to break out, and Talia has been locked up by the cage and will get put into the blender and will drop right before this Cloud Drake.
Yeah, I used the shield there to try and survive for a little bit longer, but it's just not going to matter. Too much damage goes through from Ape, and The Cloudric should just go over. Hero Joe not even gonna care about pathing down bot. It's just gone. That's gotta be fair enough. You want to focus your eyes more towards...
Oh, Munchman. Getting absolutely destroyed right now by Smoke. He doesn't even have any armor. He doesn't need it. He just doesn't... The Vayne doesn't have a completed item yet and just doesn't deal enough damage. Now finishing the Bork. But Smoke, second solo kill for the Nasus. Things are getting very dangerous now as the Nasus is really starting to run away with it.
Yeah, this Nasus is stacking. I'm curious how many stacks this Nasus has along with this Vygar, but I mean, it's looking a bit rough. Ooh, Encore just going a bit wide there, not being able to get that bullet time combo up there, and it's looking a bit rough now. Ape is looking really strong. They got 6 grubs, especially. That's so nice for the Nasus. And it doesn't look like this Vayne is able to compete on that side lane, which is very concerning.
But Joe has now found a flank onto Smoke. He's going to push him into this wall here, and Smoke has no mana, so he can't really fight back here, and there is a teleport that is jumping in to help him, but he has no ultimate. Munchman should be able to finish off this kill. It's actually going to be Hero Joe that's going to take the kill credit, and Kizak teleported in, and now he's hightailing it out of there. Sinja does hit the blast cone over the wall of the Rift Herald to try and cut him off, but it's not going to be successful. Now we see a gank in the bot side. Key getting involved here. Talia doesn't have flash. She's trying to find the space to keep herself alive, but isn't going to be able to get there. And now Mr. Miyagi's next. Going to use the bullet time, but it's going to be stopped by the crowd control of Leona, who does unfortunately pick up that shutdown, but nonetheless, it's going to be Ape that's going to be happy with 2 kills that they found from a nice lane gank from Key.
Yeah, it was nice. It was good to see shutting down that bot lane of Essence Thieves. We've seen Talia go down a couple of times, but just being able to shut down Mr. Miyagi is what really matters here. Sinja has just been playing around mid. I feel like we haven't seen this brand be too active in a lot of these team plays, or at least not for the past couple of minutes. We're seeing the Rift Herald go over towards Essence Thieves. That could maybe open up one of these lanes, especially just in time for the next dragon that goes through, because this is going to be a Chemtech Rift, so arguably the weakest of the dragons, but I mean, it could still change your game in a myriad of ways.
It absolutely can. And I feel like we haven't talked a lot about the lead that Kizak has. And this set can be a very massive part of the team fighting, as now we see Sinja getting caught by the cage, but now Killshot's the one that's been caught out, because with the Chemtech Rift, there are the massive blast cones that cover a lot of distance when you hit them, and they join the party there very quickly. Hero Joe joins the party as well and grabs Revenger with the ultimate, but that's a tanky Leona, has Thornmail plus plated steel caps, so they really take a long time to eat through her, and they cannot quite find the damage to finish it off. And they do summon the Rift Herald up inside of that mid lane, trying to get more here, trying to open up the map to make more plays. Smoke here trying to get rid of this controller, but Hero Joe is saying, stop, please, that's my vision, you can't touch my vision, and I will push you away. But now the teleport comes through. Now the play is going to be started off. Key is going to knock up multiple people, trying to focus off Talia, but Munchman's full HP in the backline, ready to take out the Wukong. They both take the blast cone over, so now it will just be a 1v1 on the side. Munchman wins that one out, but the rest of the fight goes the way of Ape, and now Munchman has to run for his life because the rest of his team is dead, aside from Sinja, who now has to defend that mid-tier 1 against Kizak, who's just going to take it right in front of his face, and Sinja's forced to use the flash because the Haymaker would have done a massive amount of damage, and Ape is starting to pull ahead in this game. Now 4k gold in the lead. Smoke, who did pop the ghost, and it just ran out, trying to look for a flank play, but Sinja found a flank of his own, and he gets too over aggressive and will drop. And now Killshot and Revenger should be the ones to vacate the premises as the rest of Essence Thieves are spawning, but they are still determined to try and get this tier 2 tower in the top side. Sinja and Talia trying to flank them here, but going to be stopped by the cage. Munchman continues the pursuit onto Revenger, who's now running for his life. Talia is down to 40% HP. This Vygar does so much damage to the squishy Seraphine, and that will be the end of that very elongated play.
yeah, the fight just kept going on for so long. We did see Smoke just try to extend that lead, but it was quickly shut down. And I mean, we're pretty late into this game. We're seeing how this one is shifting up. 3k Goldie for Ape now. Everyone is just running towards this Drake. And we're going to see a fight break loose. I think all 10 members are going to end up here. We're seeing Kizak just make sure that this wave is pushed out before he makes his way down to the Dragon Pit. I mean, you just got to engage. It's going to be Kizak just wanting to get in there.
He's going to get in there, Claire. Look at that. Boom. Cyclone onto so many people. There goes the encore. Mr. Miyagi wants to use bullet time, but simply can't do it because the backline dive is too effective. On the side of Ape, Hero Joe is taken out. Munchman and Talia able to finish off Key, and Keyzak wants to continue the play. The Haymaker will evaporate. The Seraphine smoke flashes forward to drop a wither on the Vayne's face, and that will be the ace for Ape, and they will get the Chemtech Drake as well. They are really starting to win this game hard now, and I think they are set up with 6,000 gold to their name ahead of their opponents. They are ready to look to try and close out game number 3.
And I love how Ape is playing these fights, right? We saw them a little bit earlier. They were just, coming into that team fight, but they weren't zoning off Mr. Miyagi, and that's where a bunch of the damage came through, was that bullet time. But there was just no chance in that fight. There were so many members just needing to shut down that ADC before anything bad could happen, and just no one else could deal any damage to anyone. And that's really tough for the Essence Thieves. You need to play your fights perfectly, especially your spacing and where you position for your team, because your front line is Hero Joe, who likes to go in, and that leaves the rest of your team so exposed. I mean, that's just the downside of having a Vayne and having a Seraphine, right? It's a little bit tough to keep that ADC alive.
Exactly, and that was the main downfall for Essence Thieves in that fight. So they have to try and come up with a way where they can get Misfortune to get her ultimate off without being obliterated by the Wukong, the Nasus, and the Set. 3 champions that have not necessarily easy access into the backline. For Wukong and Set, it's a little easier with gap closers. Nasus kind of has to waltz his way in there somehow. But when you're this far ahead, that can be easier done than said. When you're normally, it's not that easy. They have control over the river. Does Ape. Similar situation to what we've seen all day today, or all night when we've been streaming these games, is one team has priority. The other, it has to try and find a way to get in there. But instead of trying to get in there, it is actually going to be Ape that's going to go the way of Essence Thieves. But there we go. That's the bullet time that they were looking for. But now Kizak's joining the party. This Haymaker could be massive, but it wasn't charged up fully, so it didn't quite do the damage that we were expecting. Now Smoke is in a 1 versus 5, and they did it. They found their opportunity, and now Essence Thieves can turn towards the Baron and flip the script on this game. Hero Joe found him sitting on a ward.
Hero Joe is the hero of that play, getting kill shut out. I mean, that's so much damage just out of the fight. The Baron is going to go down. Essence Thieves has found their way back into this game when it looked really not so good. They still have bounties up, so they can continue to find those. And, I mean, they have a way back into this game. They see it. It's all coming to fruition now. They're being able to get their second spike of the game. Everyone getting their second item up, and this is what you need to see. This is what you need to have happen. You need to get the rest of the standing gold that's on the Rift, particularly, those tier 1s in that mid and bot lane. So it's looking a little bit better. The vibes are back here for Essence Thieves.
They're back. A little bit back. They're still behind a tad bit. If we look at the gold, they're still in a bit of a slump. 2,000. It's not very big, though, at this stage of the game. That's definitely not something that is insurmountable. And they have the Baron to collect some gold and bring that lead down to nothing for Ape. But right now, Key is making a play onto Munchman, who's just going to die instantaneously. And that is not something you want if you are Essence Thieves. They now are pushing 4 people strong, and the flank could come through for both Key and Kizak. They're moving up from the bot lane. And is Essence Thieves going to suspect this play? I would certainly hope that they would know that this is happening. They are getting engaged on. And this would be 5 versus 4 if Smoke joins. He has taken the tier 2 in the top side and will continue to pressure. Now going to back off because he knows the rest of SNCs can collapse. And some good plays are being made from Ape, starting to remedy the mistake of earlier.
Yeah, they realize their mistakes and they're making sure they're not letting those happen again, but it's a minute till this Drake comes up. It's another Chemtech Drake, so I mean a lot of time to play with, a lot of time to gain some map control, as we can see Kizak is doing, just making sure to push that wave all the way out and just wanting to set up for this next fight. But it's tough here. You have Baron buff, so you should be able to force your waves out. You haven't really seen bot lane get too much attention from Essence Thieves. It's mainly just been mid and the top side. But, I mean, now is the time we need to really look at that if you're an Essence Thieves player. And push out mid, push out that, get some wards set up. Make sure you're not running into a Wukong in a bush, which it does seem that they're able to push out Key. So that is pretty good.
And Essence Thieves want to make the most out of the opportunities they have to fight in the jungle because bullet time is so good in choke points. These fights around the objectives are your most important ones because they're typically going to happen inside of the jungle. In this case, you're able to get the Chemtech Drake for free, so you're also happy with that. But if there's ever a situation where you do need to fight, as Sinja has to flash away from the cage, you want it to be inside of that jungle where you can get the most value out of your Misfortune ultimate. Joe is stepping very far forward, going to get hit with the Zenith Blade. Killshot joins the play as well. The Skarner has to run away, but look at this! Again, the choke point! You have to make the most of it, and it looks like they did so in this situation. There are so many low HP bars. Munchman can unload from the backline as well. And after this play has happened, now that it's happened 2 different times, Ape, you have to think to yourself, we gotta stop fighting in the jungle now. Before it's too late.
A bad place to fight for him. You against the Brand, against the Seraphine, against the Misfortune, it's just a recipe for disaster. You know, they feel like I think they're overthinking it a little bit. I mean, they must be. This should be pretty textbook here. But, I mean, they might just push to the end. They might at least get some Nexus turrets. They have a wave to push with. Unless they want to fall back. I'm curious to see what their decision is. It is just to grab this inhibitor and fall back out. Maybe get some top lane pressure. But, I mean, they're just getting so much off of that team fight, and it makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah. 8 seconds to go on those death timers. It would have been unwise to try for the end, and that would have been the counter throw to come through for SNCs, but they made the smart choice, and they've decided to back away and reset, and they are in the driver's seat now. The gold lead for Ape has completely diminished, but they still have their win condition, and we know what their win condition is. It's infiltrate that backline without losing all your heads to 50,000 bullets while you're turned to stone by Scorpion Medusa. So that's the game plan here for Ape. Let's avoid that from happening once again. I think 1 time is like, okay, darn, we messed up. Then 2 times it's like, okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. Maybe they can avoid this situation for a 3rd time and give us a win here. Essence Thieves, though, they're very happy, and they, on the other hand, are going to notice what's working for them and trying to force that. So we have ourselves another bang out, and we wouldn't really have it any other way for the final game of the stream here. It's Essence Thieves, it's Ape. The loser goes home. The winner goes to Grand Finals.
The winner versing, I mean, just playing into that Grand Finals position. It's a lot to play for, right? There's so much on the line, a very tense match. Hero Joe looking for a pick, and it might just be on the key.
Oh, doesn't has to use the flash because he failed the clone over the wall. That's a chunky wall, though. I don't think it's even possible to get over that with the Wukong clone. But yeah, that's flash off of Wukong, and that's a massive ability to force because Wukong likes Cyclone or likes to use flash with his Cyclone to close that gap there onto the carries, and that's what we said needed to happen. If you are, oh my goodness, Munchman Gonna tumble right into the melee range of Smoke there. Gonna finally use the cleanse to knock off that Wither. Trying his very best to kite away, but the second Wither has come through. And Munchman now, oh no, actually, wait a second. Is the invisibility preventing Smoke from putting down that Wither? But here we go, it happened again. And he's trying to close the gap here. He's finally going to be able to do it. The healing is too much. There needs to be some healing reduction there on the side of Munchman if he wants to win out in that 1 versus 1 again.
Yeah, but seeing to come through the NASA stacks 500 at this point, Vigar like 340, so these numbers are getting really large. This single damage is extremely big in contrast to Essence Thieves, whose like multi-target damage across their members is a lot. They can deal so much. Hero Joe might be getting picked off for very tanky though.
Caught in the cage, gonna get hit with the haymaker as well. There goes the Vigar ult, and how did Joe tank all of that damage? This Scorpion is tanky. Has a Thornmail, has a Canic Rooker, and has a Sunfire Aegis. That's a lot of resistances, and enough to withstand the might of Ape's entire damage output. Maybe not their entire damage output, but a lot of it. But all the meanwhile, Smoke was just chilling in that bot side of the map, getting turrets, almost cracking that inhibitor. That would have been a great thing for them to get, because having that side lane pressure would mean more things for Essence Thieves to think about. The next thing on the table is the Dragon, but this isn't a soul. So we could see this given again. We might see a fight for it, but the thing is, if you fight for it, that could mean the game. So we'll see what the decision is here for these teams. There's no cross-map play to be had. There's no Baron alive. What do they want to do around this new objective? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Key just going to jump right onto Mr. Miyagi, who's going to be forced to use the flash. So it's Cyclone for flash, and now Joe is caught between multiple people, both Revenger and Smoke. He's actually in the middle of a lot, but it's actually Ape that just wants to, he's chilling. They just want to disengage.
Not a care in the world for Joe there. And they're just walking past each other. One is going towards the dragon, the other one is going towards the base, and not wanting to fight each other, but the engage is going to come through. You gotta take a look at that top side. Kizak is split pushing. That's going to be quite the problem. Hero Joe trying to chase down these players, but they're just a little bit too fast.
And Joe's stunned up. This Vigar does 0 damage to the Skarner. Doesn't have a fully completed penetration item yet. So the penetration is not enough to kill the Skarner, but now Joe might have gone a little bit too far forward. The bullet time finds absolutely nobody as well. So this is the moment now for Ape to go crazy, and that is Kizak going insane with the Haymaker. The Flash Ultimate will secure the kill on Natalia, but it will also kill off the Vigar. Kill shot is going to drop. Munchman is caught up into multiple people, but he is free. He is free hitting. He is auto-attacking. He's getting the damage down, and it's only Key left here for Ape. He's going to try and jump onto Sinjo with the Cyclone. Does he have the damage to finish it off onto the Brand? The Staircase Gauge will keep him alive for the moment, but Munchman will finish off that kill, and they will get the ace. And they will get the Chemtech Drake, I believe, as well. But I think that's all that they're really going to get, aside from the gold that they got from the play.
Yeah, I mean, there were some value gains from Ape. They got some base control, but it's gonna go over towards Essence Thieves is the Dragon, which isn't like that much, all things considered. It's only a Chemtech Drake. There's only 2 members alive. A lot of fighting taking place for really not that much. Just so much being invested just to get an inch into this game. The gold lead is extremely close, about like 500 gold, and I mean, what a game. Like, what a performance from both these teams. Extremely close. Both wanted to get to that grand finals position, but it's just so difficult to get to when you're versing like another brick wall of a team.
Yeah, both of these teams want it really badly. It was Ape that had the lead, and then it was Essence Thieves who fought back to bring it to this 35-minute bang out that we have. And now we have Soul Point for Essence Thieves. So in 4 minutes time, if we're still kicking, that Soul will finally come into play. The next Baron is on the cards for these teams in 1:30. But what can be found before the neutral objectives spawn? We see a push on the bot side. Kizak ushering in that wave, but there's simply too many people here for them to continue to push any further. I do believe that we're going to have to sit here and wait out until those neutral objectives spawn for something to happen, unless a miracle pick is found. Someone gets caught in the cage, someone runs into a Wukong. It looks like it's just going to be wave control right now for Ape. And then once that neutral objective spawns, it's 50 seconds to the Baron. We might see some plays start to break out.
I mean, Barons needs to be fought over from both these teams. That's, I think, for the game probably is going to be like decided. Everyone though so close to being full built at 36 minutes. Both these teams almost having that 70k gold. Nobody wants to make a mistake. It's very odd that Ape is mainly just posturing into this mid lane. No vision over towards that topside jungle from really anybody.
Yeah. And now Baron's going to spawn. Control over at least the mid and bot wave for the moment. Joe is caught in the cage and has now been hit with the Wither, and that's going to be the ultimate to come through. Lives with about 1 HP, but there's the plus 12. This could be the massive pick that wins them the game if they play it properly. They are up one person. They do get the bot lane inhibitor, and now they have a wave pushing up in mid as well. Key jumps onto Mr. Miyagi, but he has no follow-up. This Misfortune is almost full build, does a lot of damage. Even without the bullet time, you do have to pay your respect. Look at Smoke's health bar dropping very low, doesn't have a ton of armor, has a Frozen Heart, has a Jack Show. That's not enough to stop a 6-item 80 carry. Now Mr. Miyagi, though, is caught up inside of the cage, does a lot of damage into Killshot. They have to be careful. If they're not playing together in a team fight, it can be very hard to take out the key targets like Mr. Miyagi for Ape. So they have to pick and choose their fights and really win when they have the opportunity to siege the backline. And now Baron's alive, so it throws another wrinkle here in the macro games for both these teams. They got to get vision, they got to push waves, they got to make sure they're not getting caught. It's a tense moment.
It is a very tense moment. We do see Baron up. We see Revenger just going up there, trying to get some vision down, putting a ward. But it's Essence Thief feeling the need to stay in their base, clear these waves. You gotta watch out for a backdoor position, or at least Kizak TPing topside, getting that inhibitor down again. You just need to keep that one up. You are bleeding out a little bit with that, bot side inhibitor taken out, but I mean, you're dealing with it. But now, I mean, both these teams over by the Baron pit. Nobody wanting to start it quite yet.
They don't want to make a mistake that costs them the game. So I feel like these teams are playing with a little bit of nerves. They know what's at stake. They know what's on the line. They have it in the back of their mind as they play. And they're thinking about the mistakes they've made previously in this game as well. They know if they step too far forward, it can turn into, at least for Ape's side, a massive bullet time that loses you the game. You know, if you start off a fight too swiftly, it could turn into your whole backline being dived for Essence Thieves. Now, Hero Joe, we've seen this countless times. This guy is caught in the middle of 5 people. He just simply says, I don't care. I will not die. You cannot kill me unless you give me everything that you have. There's an encore that kills Killshot. Killshot has gotten a kill shot and at least 50,000 kill shots from the bullet time, but now Pandemonium in the lanes, and oh my goodness, all the Essence Thieves has evaporated before our eyes. I thought the pick on Vigar would do it for them, but Munchman, you're going to have to be better than Gosu and Uzi combined to 1v4 this one. Actually doing a good amount of damage here, trying to be the saving grace for his team. Kites away from Smoke, does have the Wither applied to him though, and Kizak will use the flash to close the gap, and Munchman has no flash of his own. He took the Cleanse Ghost, and there's the Haymaker. We have the end of our game. 40 minutes, game 3, absolute banger, and Ape, after almost throwing it, brings it back and will move on to face Sky Splitters in our grand final.
A great try from Essence Thieves. Both these teams just securing such great moments into this game, but Ape coming out on top in the most unlikely scenario. What a performance from both of these teams.
What a performance. An Ape, despite having to forfeit that game number 1, they do not care. They win both of their games and they will move on, and they refuse to die. Our 2 finalists are the Sky Splitters and Ape. So yeah, thank you everyone. I'm going to keep it short and simple because I am absolutely exhausted. I'm sure you are as well, Claire. But thank you to everyone who's watching in the watch party. You guys were great in the chat. I was reading all your messages. I wasn't responding to all the messages, but I'm reading it as I'm casting, and I'm sure Claire is as well. So thanks for the messages. Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for supporting your favorite teams. Your energy is really good. Thank you to Drewbert who did the production tonight. And yeah, thank you for anyone else who was watching. We'll bring you the grand finals next week. Please have a very wonderful night, and we will see you very soon.